I would like to call this village board meeting of Thursday, November 3, 2022 to order. Will the clerk please take the roll?
President Coker?
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Here.
Trustee Siddiqui? Here. Trustee Light?
Here.
Trustee Meritato?
Here.
Trustee Pojek?
Here.
Trustee Schroeder.
Please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. We now move to community announcement. And before we start community announcement, I will read some rules, which we are going to observe and enforce, What happened in previous meeting, we had complained that people, they were attacking personally on other people. We do not like that, number one. Number two, if somebody try to do that, we will escort him or her out of the room, So please don't be personal with each other. Have respect, give respect, and have respect. And if somebody try to violate that, we will enforce, It's number one, each speaker will be direct his or her comment to a member of the governing body. If you have any question, you can ask mayor and board members or directors, directly, Refrain from personal attacks, as I mentioned, foul or abusive languages, and will maintain a civil and courteous manner and tone. Each speaker will direct his or her comment to the members of the governing body and not to any individual members or other individual present unless a question is directed to him or her by a member of the governing body. So please be aware of that, Trustee Schmidt, please.
The next coffee and chat with the village president and board will be this Saturday, November 5th at the Center for Senior Citizens from 10 a.m. to noon. If you are unable to attend and have any comments, suggestions, or questions for the village president or village board, please call the village president's office anytime at 630-909-5302. The Village of Glendale Heights would like to remind residents to only park on paved surfaces on and around your property. Per village code, please do not park on your lawn and grass areas. Parking long-term on your lawn can damage your vehicle and your property. If you observe someone parking on an unpaved surface, such as their lawn, please contact the Community Development Department at 630-260-6030 or call 911 to report this issue. Thank you.
Welcome. Trustee Siddiqui, please.
With the arrival of fall season, the village of Glendale Heights, along with the Glenside and Bloomingdale Fire Protection Districts, would like to remind residents that it's unlawful for any uncontrolled burning of landscape waste. Fires in approved containers like fire pits are allowed as long as they are at least 15 feet from any structure, including fences and picnic tables. For more information, please contact the Glenside Fire Protection District at 630-668-5323 or the Bloomingdale Fire Protection District at 630-894-9080. We would like to remind residents that per village code, do not rake or move leaves or yard waste into village streets. This will help ensure our streets are clean and clear of any debris for safe driving. Yard waste collections occurs on the same day as regular waste and recycling pickup. The final collection day for yard waste will be November 30th, December 1st, and December 2nd, depending on when your usual garbage and recycling pickup occurs. If you have any questions, please call Republic Services at 847-981-0091.
Trustee Light, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please join the Village Board, the Village of Glendale Heights, police and fire personnel, and Glendale Heights VFW Post 2377 for a ceremony at Veterans Memorial Park as we honor all military personnel, past and present. The Veterans Day ceremony will begin at 11 a.m. on Veterans Day, November 11th. The event includes a flag and color guard presentation, rifle salute, and a tribute to our fallen warriors. Please note, all village offices will be closed on Friday, November 11th, in observance of Veterans Day. For more information, please contact the village president's office at 630-909-5302. The Glendale Heights Christmas Sharing Program helps give back to those families in need during the holiday season. We understand the importance of holidays and the challenges that many families face each and every day, especially after the last 2 years due to COVID-19 pandemic. Christmas sharing gives trees with wish-for items on mitten ornaments will be available in the coming weeks at Village Hall, the Center for Senior Citizens, and the Sports Hub as we try to give back to those in need. If you're interested in making a monetary donation to support Christmas Sharing Program and give back to the community, please contact Debbie Marino at 630-260-6030, extension 6130. Thank you.
You're welcome. Executive Secretary, Ms. Jasjeet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
While writing your holiday greeting cards to friends and family, please remember our military personnel who have or who are currently serving our country during the holidays. The village is collecting holiday greeting cards and will mail them in time for a holiday delivery. Please drop off your holiday greeting cards to Village Hall by December 8th. Please do not put cards in envelopes, decorate cards with glitter, or add personal contact information like email or social media. For more information, please call 630-909-5327.
Trustee Maritato.
Thank you. Stop by the Center for Senior Citizens on Thursday, November 17th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to get a jump start on your holiday shopping at the annual craft fair and bake sale. Shop for an assortment of handmade jewelry, clothing, ornaments, tote bags, and other crafts made by the members of the Senior Center. Our members will also be baking some delicious treats for a bake sale. All proceeds from the bake sale will be going back to future programming at the Center for Senior Citizens. For more information, please contact the Center for Senior Citizens at 630-260-6050. The Village of Glendale Heights invites the entire community to celebrate the start of the holiday season with the annual tree lighting ceremony on Monday, November 28th. The ceremony will begin at 6 p.m. For more information about the annual tree lighting ceremony will be available soon. If you have any questions, please contact the Sports Hub at 630-260-6060 or visit the Leisure Services Department website at www.ghrec.org. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Pojek, please.
During the month of November, parking restrictions will be in effect from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. due to street sweeping. Color-coded no parking signs are posted in 4 different zones throughout the village. Parking is not allowed on Mondays in the red zone, Tuesday in the blue zone, Wednesday for the green zone, and Friday for the brown zone. To find out your zone, visit the village website. For any questions on the street sweeping program, please contact the Public Works Department at 630-260-6040.
Trustee Schroeder, please.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
The Glendale Heights Center for Senior Citizens is the senior health insurance program sponsoring site and is offering open enrollment assistance for senior citizens now through December the 7th. Our trained volunteer counselors can provide a one-on-one assistance to Medicare beneficiaries and their caregivers. Volunteer counselors can provide you with the information you need to make educated decisions about your insurance. Please call the Glendale Heights Center for Senior Citizens at 630-260-6050 to schedule an appointment for assistance with your health care insurance questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. A call for a public hearing by the Mayor and Board of Trustees on November 17, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the annual tax levy, assessments, and collection of taxes for the first year beginning May 1st, 2022 and ending April 30th, 2023. 3 and 4. We have the following proclamations. A proclamation to proclaim the month of November as National Diabetes Awareness Month. A proclamation to proclaim November 15, 2022 as School Board Member Day. If there are no objections, I will sign these proclamation. Any objection? No.
Go for it.
Okay. Tonight, we have the swearing of our new Director of Community Development, Mike Todorovic, Mr. Splint.
Thank you, Mayor. Board, while Mike comes up here, I just wanted to remind everybody on September 22nd at our board meeting, September 22nd, after an exhaustive search for a new community development director, Mike was confirmed at the September 22nd board meeting. He had to give his last employer some notice. Mike started with us 2 weeks ago. This is his first board meeting as the Director of Community Development, and this is the opportunity we have to swear him in as the new Community Development Director. So, Mike, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Mike Todorovic,
I, Mike Todorovic,
having been appointed to the position of Community Development Director
having been appointed to the position of Community Development Director
in the Village of Glendale Heights in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
in the Village of Glendale Heights in the County of DuPage aforesaid,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Community Development Director
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Community Development Director
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. We recognize Mike at the September 22nd board meeting. He's jumped in with both feet, both hands, both arms, his head, his knowledge. He's been thrown into a tough assignment, jumping in the middle of the year, learning the budget, learning the code, learning the rules. He's doing yeoman's work right now. So thank you, Mike, for stepping in full bore and bringing all your training and experience to here. Look forward to a long future.
Thank you, Mr. Mike, and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next, we now go to public discussion of agenda items. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address this board? None. You have the consent agenda before you. Would Acting Village Administrator Doug Flint please read the consent agenda?
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
1, approval of the regular board meeting minutes of October 20th, 2022. 2, approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of October 20th, 2022. 3, approval of the special board meeting minutes of October 4th, 2022.
24th?
I'm sorry?
You said October 4th, October 24th?
October 24th, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Number 4, approval of the accounts payable listing of November 3rd, 2022, in the amount of $1,740,632.36. 5, a resolution authorizing the execution of change order number 1, final, for the 2022 sidewalk removal and replacement program in the Village of Glendale Heights, Illinois. 6, a resolution authorizing the purchase of bulk rock salt for use within the Village of Glendale Heights. 7, a motion to approve pay request number 1 through Schroeder and Schroeder Incorporated for the 2022 sidewalk removal and replacement program, total amount not to exceed $132,702.94. 8, a motion to approve pay request number 3 to RES Environmental Operating Company for the Klein Creek Restoration Project, total amount not to exceed $196,061.20. 9, a motion to approve pay request number 4, final, to J. Congdon Sewer Service Incorporated for the 2021 CDBG Glen Hill Water Main Replacement Project Phase 2 in the total amount not to exceed $80,850.51. 10, motion to approve pay request number 12 to Joseph J. Henderson and Son Incorporated for the Digester Rehabilitation Project in the total amount not to exceed $52,963.16. 11, motion to approve pay request number 16, final, to Kloss Brothers Incorporated for the Camera Park Improvement Project, total amount not to exceed $6,776. 12, motion to approve pay request number 1 to Unique Plumbing Company Incorporated for the Lincoln Avenue Stormwater Sewer Replacement Project, total amount not to exceed $99,470.70. 13, a motion to approve pay request number 3, final, to DCG Roofing Solutions Incorporated for the 2022 Civic Center Roof Project in total amount not to exceed $28,551.46. 14, a motion to approve pay request number 3, final, to Pavement Systems Incorporated for the Parking Lot Seal Coating Project in the total amount not to exceed $55,764.89. 15, a motion to amend fiscal year 2022-2023 non-union pay plan. 16, approval of consent items. Mayor?
Is there motion to approve the consent agenda? Trustee Schmidt and trustee, who was Maritato?
I move we adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
The consent agenda is approved. Old business. There is none. New business. A motion to waive first reading on new business item 2. I need a motion for that. Trustee Light.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Schmidt,
Second.
Discussion? None. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
The motion to waive first reading on new business items 2 is approved. Number 2, an ordinance waiving bid and authorizing the execution of an electric vehicle charging station license agreement with CSG EV LLC for electric vehicle charging station to be located at the Village of Glendale Heights Sports Hub. Ordinance 2022-67. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-67? Trustee Light,
So moved.
Trustee Schroeder,
Second.
discussion? Yes. Trustee Pojek, please.
I guess this one goes to Doug, maybe? You're the one that's gonna handle this, or
Yes.
Mike, or?
Hey.
When is this gonna start up, and where's it gonna be located? And
So-
how many?
Well, right now, there's for 2 charging stations. Once we get them the signed agreement, they'll start the engineering on the best location within the complex here. This says Sports Hub, but it really means the complex here between the Civic Center and the Sports Hub. They got to figure out the engineering, where the electrical can come in, and figure out the best location to put the charging stations that won't affect operations, snow, all that, snow plow, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get the contract to them tomorrow if the board approves it, and then they'll start the process as soon as they can, because they want these installed as quick as we want them installed.
Doug, is there an estimated cost on this?
To the village? Zero,
Zero?
yes.
Okay.
Trustee Maritato, then
No,
trustee
that
Schmidt.
was my question. Is it gonna cost us any money to do this?
The cost to the village is zero. As you can imagine, this is all grant funded, right, from various grants from car dealerships, or I should say car manufacturers, and state and federal governments. And there's a revenue split once everything's up and running. So there is some income for the village. It's an 80-20 revenue split, but it costs us nothing to do this.
Okay, how do they hook up this electric? I mean,
That's why we have engineers. I don't know.
Okay, I mean, it's not coming off of our power, is it?
In the contract, they will put a separate meter, and they will be paying the electric bill off that meter.
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Trust-
I have
Trustee
one more question, Doug.
Trustee Schmidt is first. Yes, trustee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Doug, the ones I've seen located throughout the village and in Bloomingdale and Carroll Stream, right where they have the charging station, there's an extra light there that's lit up. Are we gonna have that too, do you know, or?
I would assume, they want to make it as visible as
safety.
possible. Yeah, they want to make it as visible as possible so people don't hit it. Certainly our snow plows need to know where it's at. So I would assume that would be it, but I'll make sure that it's well lit.
All right, thank you, Doug.
Anybody else?
I
Yes,
just
ma'am.
have one question, Doug. Do we have enough people in the village that have electric cars?
Yes,
We do?
yes.
Because I only know one person that has an electric car, and he had his own pump put in by his home.
Yes.
I didn't know it was a bit.
And plus, don't forget, the Sports Hub has hundreds of people there on weekends. We have traffic court here during the day that brings in hundreds of people here during the day. Having charging stations available for residents and visitors is electric vehicles are gonna be the wave of the future. And planning for, that process today will, get us a little bit ahead of the game when, that happens.
Will we have to have an employee on duty at all times to,
Oh, no, it's all self-serve.
self-service?
You pay with it, you pay for it with a credit card.
All right, thank you.
So, yeah, we don't have that, it won't affect our village at all.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? None? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes?
Trustee Schroeder,
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
It's 67. Yeah, I think you said 67. Yeah, it's 67.
The motion to adopt ordinance 2022-67 is approved. Public discussion of agenda items. We now go on public discussion of agenda items. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address this board on an agenda item only? Yes. Ed Pope.
I don't even have to speak. Ed Pope, Wayne Avenue. This sounds really stupid, but it was just in my head, so I'm just gonna make a request to you guys. On those stations, if you could make sure that they're not located at Veterans Park, so that that area remains, we've always kind of kept it kind of sacred over there, so that those stations would be more on this side of the, and not
No,
over there.
that's not a real parking spot, right? So I vision somewhere here for court parking, somewhere near the Sports Hub for visitors visiting the Sports Hub, and hopefully Camera Park at some point in the future.
I was just thinking though, because of proximity and all the power at the pool, but, it's just, that's always been kind of a, more of a sacred area over there. And then if those charging stations are popular, you're gonna wanna add to them. And the next thing you know, it's gonna look really tacky after all the hard work you guys have put in over there. So that's just a comment.
Duly noted.
Anybody else from public? None. There is no executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? I need motion. Trustee Light,
Motion to adjourn.
Trustee Smith. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder,
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned. Trustee Siddiqui, you have the committee of the whole meeting.
I would like to call this committee of the whole meeting of Thursday, November 3rd, 2022 to order. Will the secretary note who is present?
So noted.
Okay, since this is a continuation of the previous subjects, so public comments are closed. So we are not going to be allowing any public comments about the cannabis. But we do have one more item, which is number 1.
Excuse me, I got an add-on.
Yeah,
Public Works and Parks and Rec.
So do I.
Hold on a second.
Public Works and what's the other one?
Park and Rec.
Parks and Recs.
And I have one too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Investigation.
Investigation, okay. Anyone else? Any add-ons?
Public comment about other stuff.
Yeah. You have to, other agenda items or no agenda items, the public can comment. And I believe he said it, just nothing on cannabis.
Yeah, so nothing for the cannabis, but there is one I'm seeing a new, which is Plan Commission, a recommendation to an application for PC number 2022-017, a conditional use to allow outdoor storage of commercial vehicle within one in the high industrial district for Aramac refreshments located at 701 Regency Drive. So for that one, if there is any public comments to the podium and share your comments with us. Anyone for that particular? No, just for this one. The other two are the continued discussion.
No, but usually at the COW.
Oh,
they
okay.
can address you on any.
Any other, yes, okay, yeah, except for cannabis, any other items? None, okay.
And then the commissioners.
Oh, yeah, that's the, I think that's the continuation, so I would like petitioners for number,
Is Aramark here?
Aramark, yeah.
Sir, if you want to come up. Hello.
Hello.
So we're looking for the provisional permit
You
for,
state your name, please?
Yeah,
sorry, David
name
Lip,
and address.
701 Regency Drive, Glendale Heights, 60139. We're looking for a provisional permit for our parking of our company vehicles. We're new to Glendale Heights, a couple weeks now, so going through the process for our delivery vehicles.
Okay. Any question from the board?
Real quick question.
Go ahead, Mike.
What is it that you're actually delivering?
Coffee, soda, snacks to customers throughout the state of Illinois.
Awesome, I like that.
Mr. Pojek?
Yeah, did you go to the plan commission, because I missed that meeting? Did they discuss your parking situation?
I believe that that was the meeting I was at a week ago, a little over a week ago, yes, sir.
And
Yes.
what was the outcome of that? Do you remember?
It was approved to come to the board.
It was approved?
Yes.
They had sufficient parking?
Oh, yeah. It's in the industrial park too. It's on Regency.
Yeah.
So it's away from, it backs up to, Marcourt, but it's backed up to a forested area. It's separated, there's no issue with parking, there's no issue with space.
Any fencing going up or anything?
It's already there.
It's there? Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Schmidt?
Move that we move this to the board with a recommendation to concur.
Second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes,
Trustee Schroeder.
Yes.
Okay, so motion for the recommendation for this outdoor storage commercial vehicle has been passed. Okay, now for the cannabis, the Ivy Hall, so do you have any comments? Yeah, please come in. Because I think that's where we left. We want to give you our time and then second party our time, and then we will go ahead and vote for it. So go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick. I'm the attorney for the applicant World of Weed LLC with offices at 70 West Madison, Chicago, Illinois, Suite 2300. Thank you for having us tonight. After last meeting, I think it's important to refocus our attention on the issue that's before us. Here we're presenting the application of a conditional use permit to operate a cannabis dispensary at 2130 Bloomingdale Road. We're not here weighing the pros and cons of cannabis, as that issue was resolved long ago down in Springfield. And since then, the village has adopted standards for exactly where a cannabis dispensary could be located within its jurisdiction. This decision allowed Glendale Heights to have control over how a dispensary operates that serves Glendale Heights residents, rather than ceding control to the surrounding municipalities that do allow cannabis dispensaries operating on their borders, thus giving Glendale Heights residents a more convenient and safe option than traveling to these other towns. After after the last meeting, I don't believe there's any question that our application meets each of the village's use, distance, and location standards as confirmed by the staff's report recommending approval. Indeed, several comments that you heard at the last meeting pointed to the location at 2130 Bloomingdale Road as an appropriate location for a cannabis dispensary. After all, it is located in a commercial corridor surrounded by like land uses that operate similarly to the proposed use, such as general retail, pharmacies, and banks. By complying with the ordinance, Illinois law deems this proposed use in harmony with Glendale Heights general zoning plan and is presumed not to affect the neighborhood around it adversely. Some of the current concerns you heard about the presence of cannabis with this location are unwarranted. Unless you pass through security with proper credentials and actually buy the product, you'll never be exposed to cannabis or even know that cannabis is being sold at this location. There will be no signage or pictures indicating cannabis. The windows will be fully opaque so you can't see within the store. The product will be stored in a vault and only released upon point of sale. The product is then delivered to the customers in sealed containers and sealed bags with no cannabis markings, and there is no on-site consumption. We also have security ensuring that there is no loitering around the premises. Moreover, this dispensary is going to fill currently vacant retail space with a new retail use. The traffic generated by this dispensary will be similar to any other retail use in the village. And indeed, it'll generate less traffic than some of the other permitted uses in the C2 zoning district. So that traffic should not be a concern over this application because any concerns over traffic equally apply to any other permitted use in the C2 district. The services and facilities are already there since the space already exists. The use will enhance public safety by helping to eliminate the demand in the black market while offering a new medicinal option that often gives Glendale Heights residents critical health maintenance of individuals with debilitating issues. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Adam Rack.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Adam Rack. I'm a urban planner with WBK Engineering located at 116 West Main Street in St. Charles, Illinois, 60174. We have a very brief presentation today to go through some of the points that we heard at the last meeting. I promise we'll be very brief here. I will start off. The first slide really speaks to the location of the property. As you can see in the exhibit to the on top, that's the village zoning map. There are three main commercial, we'll call them commercial nodes along the Army Trail Road corridor. To the west is Schmally Road. In the center, we'll call it, is Bloomingdale Road, and to the east is Glen Ellen Road. The only intersection where all four quarter sections are under Glendale Heights jurisdiction is the one with at Bloomingdale Road, which makes this the sort of the prime retail node in the city, particularly along the Army Trail Road corridor. As you can see in the image to the underneath, that is the future land use map taken from the village's very own comprehensive plan. The future land use map identifies this area as part of the subject property as remaining commercial now and in the future as well. So as Tyler said, we are proposing a use that is a very typical retail use that is similar to all other, operates similarly to all other retail uses in the immediate vicinity. From a design standpoint, you can see a rendering of some of the, rendering example of the building and some of the enhancements being made. The entrance is going to be located on the east side of the multi-tenant building. The existing entrance to the Dunkin' Donuts is located on the north side. There is adequate parking located around the entire perimeter of the building, but to the south and to the east of the building as well, which would mean that there is parking available for people who do not want to pass by the entrance to Ivy Hall. They can still get to the Dunkin' Donuts entrance around the other side of the building and not have to see the Ivy Hall entrance. All signage will be mandated by the state. There will be no reference to cannabis or reference to cannabis imagery, such as a cannabis leaf. As you can see, the signage is very simple, the Ivy Hall word mark. In addition, Tyler also mentioned that there will be an opaque screen on all windows that will prevent people from seeing into the cannabis retail sales floor, essentially from the surrounding parking lot. I think it goes without saying there's a policy of strictly no consumption on site as well, and that will be strictly enforced. Ed Farrell here from Silver Star Protection will be able to tell you more about some of the security measures and how that enforcement takes place. The next slide here, I would like to introduce Jennifer Mitchell from BLA. She is the applicant's traffic consultant, and she'll be able to tell you a little bit more about the traffic study that was completed as part of this project.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Mitchell. I'm with BLA Engineering in Itasca, Illinois at 333 Pierce Road, Suite 200. I am a professional engineer and a licensed professional traffic operations engineer. I'm licensed in the state of Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Indiana. I've been doing this for over 30 years. Not only do I look at private land development, but I also work for the state and the counties as doing traffic and transportation planning and analysis. Primarily phase one, which is looking at problems with the site, looking at traffic and safety, and figuring out how to make improvements if they're needed. I'm going to go through briefly, as quickly as I can, because we looked at quite a few things for this site. When we do a traffic impact study, we first identify the existing conditions. And as you can see on the map there, it's Army Trail Road and Bloomingdale Road are both roadways under the jurisdiction of DuPage County Highway Department. So they control that traffic signal as well as any access cut or driveway to those roadways. Army Trail Road is a principal arterial, and Bloomingdale Road is what's called a strategic regional arterial, which means it has very specific access requirements and limitations, as well as having priority of traffic flow along Bloomingdale Road versus Army Trail Road. The traffic on Army Trail Road is, well, I should just say, in general, the total traffic going through this intersection is approximately 60,000 vehicles per day. So that is quite a bit of traffic at this location. And that is primarily due to the commercial business in the area. In general, we looked at the existing parking for the site. So we did do a parking analysis to identify parking needs. And we found that there was sufficient parking, not only for the existing uses that are there today, but also for this proposed use. When the site is developed, it looks at all proposed land uses within the commercial property as a PUD. And so therefore that, variable land use was accounted for when the site was developed. So there are 416 spaces on site, and almost 21%, I should say almost, at most 21% are occupied on a Saturday, which is indicating that there's almost 295 spaces available for the whole site. We looked at the Dunkin' Donuts with the drive-through. We understand that there was concerned that there would be overflow or impacts with the drive-through. We observed the drive-through on a Thursday between on a Thursday and on a Saturday. And the Dunkin' Donuts prime drive-through time is in the morning between 6 and 8. The proposed site of the cannabis site will be after 9 p.m. They don't even open until 9 p.m. So really the peak traffic is not going to overlap for those two uses right next to each other.
9 a.m.
Did I say 9 p.m.? I'm sorry. 9 a.m. is what I mean. They will not open until 9 a.m. And Dunkin' Donuts' peak is in the morning from 6 to 8 a.m. Sorry. We looked at a crash analysis of the intersection of Bloomingdale and Army Trail Road. The intersection itself does have, we look at a 5-year time frame, and there were approximately 277 crashes at this location. The other thing that we do look at is that we look at the types of crashes that occur as well as the severity of crashes that occur. So while 277 crashes over 5 years averages 45 crashes a year, that sounds like a lot of crashes at this location. And when I think crash experience is relative. So in this community, that is a high crash location, okay? But when we look at the severity of the crashes that occur, that over 50% or 78% of the crashes are property damage only. So when we look at severity, we look at fatalities, we look at incapacitating injuries, and then we look at property damage. So 75% of the crashes are only property damage, which just means vehicles are dented and so forth. There is no life-threatening incidents at this location. There were no fatalities listed in the last 5 years. I also contacted DuPage County to talk to them about severity because the state of Illinois does a statewide study and ranks roadways based on their severity index. So I contacted DuPage County to find out how this intersection ranks within DuPage County and compares to other 60,000 vehicle intersections within DuPage County. So DuPage had given me a list of 29 intersections that they have, and this location itself is listed as number 2. So it does, in relevance to all the intersections under DuPage County's jurisdiction with 60,000 vehicles or more per day, it does have a high crash rate, okay? However, when looking at the severity of the intersection, IDOT ranks, there are 4 different rankings for severity. I find my piece of paper here. So there is the high, medium, low, or minimal designation. So IDOT does all the analysis, determines what the designation is, and then tells the counties what those designations are. And part of that designation helps the local agencies who have jurisdiction get funding for improving those intersections, which are high, medium, low, or minimal designation. So when DuPage County gave me this information, they've indicated that this intersection at Bloomingdale and Army Trail Road is not on an IDOT severity list. So it goes back to relative. In your community in DuPage County, this may have a high rate, but the severity of life and endangerment is very low statewide. So that is part of the reason why when I reviewed DuPage County's transportation plan, 5-year transportation plan, there are no improvements listed for this intersection, other than traffic signal modernization. I had first talked about Bloomingdale Road being a priority route for mobility of traffic. Army Trail Road is a new corridor that DuPage County is working to interconnect the signals to improve mobility along that road. So there is going to be improvement, over time as DuPage County implements these regional and connectivity of intersection signals throughout the county. So continuing on with our traffic study, we look at operations of that intersection. So our policy is to look at the way the intersection operates today. We look at in the future, so this development 5 years down the road, when it's fully built out, what would that intersection operate without the development? And then we add in the site development's traffic. So I'm going to talk really quickly about the site development. The dispensary in the AM morning would generate 25 vehicles. So that's, their peak is 9 AM. So they would be generating 25 vehicles per hour. In the PM, which is adjacent to, or similar to the adjacent roadway peak hour, that would be 45 vehicles per hour. And that's going in and out. So what we do is we take these hourly volumes and we distribute them on the roadways based on the travel patterns of the roadways. And we've identified that 30% of the traffic will go to and from the site on west on Army Trail Road and south on Bloomingdale Road, and then 20% north on Bloomingdale, north on Bloomingdale, and then another 20% east. So the existing traffic conditions indicate that the intersection operates, well, we rank intersections on A, B, C, D, E, and F levels, okay? A is the best operations, F is the worst operations. The existing operations is a level of service D, which is not that great. And I think we all know that. DuPage County knows that. Users of the roadway know that. It's not very mobile at the time. But what we do then is looking at the no build 5 years down the road. It shows that there will be a minimal increase of the existing background traffic and that the operations will continue to be level of service D. In 5 years, the change in delay, which is the time that people are delayed, is 3 seconds. Most people won't notice those 3 seconds. Okay, so from the existing condition today with no dispensary, it's level of service D. 5 years down the road with no dispensary, it's level of service D. When you add in the dispensary traffic, it is level of service D. With the site traffic, it increases by 0.1 second. So there is minimal, if no effect, on traffic for this site, as well as indicating that because there is a minimal effect, we don't feel there's a safety issue at any of these locations either. So with that, we have found that the parking is adequate. There is no conflict with the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. The safety of the intersection is it is important to this community, yes, but as relative to other comparable intersections around the state of Illinois, it is not a safety issue. And then as far as operations of the adjacent roadways, it is a minimal effect to the existing operations. And so we feel at the traffic and safety aspect, this is a sufficient location for this development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ed Farrell. I'm the owner of a company called Silver Star Protection Group. I'm a third-party security company that's been contracted by Ivy Hall to do their security. Prior to owning this company, just for your edification, I was a U.S. Marshal. I retired after 24 years of service, opened the company, and I'm currently a licensed Illinois Security Agency, camera, alarms, and access control, as well as licensed in many other states. My company specializes in cannabis security. We're operational in 3 states right now. We're opening a 4th this year, and we do security in over 100 cannabis facilities. So we have some great institutional knowledge for these facilities. To that end, today I'd like to walk you guys through the customer experience in the dispensary. So if you remember, dispensary is divided into 3 sections. The green represents public access, the yellow represents limited access, and the red represents restricted access. And just at a high level, green is where the public can come in and get screened. Yellow is where purchasers can go and staff, and then red is staff only and IDFPR employees, just at a high level. So we'll walk you through a customer experience. In the green area where you see, that's where customers would come in. And as soon as they come in, they're met by an attendant specialist. And that attendant specialist scans their ID to ensure that they're 21 years of age. If you're not 21 years of age, you have to leave the facility. Upon confirmation, they're brought into what is called the yellow limited access area. And in that limited access area is where purchases are made. So to underscore what I said earlier, Ivy Hall will not sell cannabis to anyone that isn't 21 years of age or older as stipulated in the Cannabis Act. Most customers, when they utilize a facility, most of them use web-based purchasing. Obviously, the market has changed. This enables customers to bypass most of the sales experience and go right up to the counter and pick up their order. It's an express type delivery. They go right up, they pay for it, they're in and out of the facility very quickly. There's a professional staff available to answer questions and provide education to anybody that comes in, newer customers, customers that have questions, customers that have questions about what products do. Typical visits last 5 to 15 minutes. Once the sale is completed, and the sale is completed in that yellow area, all cannabis is provided to the customer in a sealed, child-proof container that is very hard to open. That container is put into a bag, and that bag as well is sealed. So it's almost impossible to get to the cannabis that's in the facility. Once the order is fulfilled, the customer is escorted off the premises. There's no loitering. The Cannabis Act is very strict about that. Once the purchase is over, they have to leave the facility. And I think I just want to underscore, unless you're going inside to purchase, it would be very, very difficult to be exposed to cannabis in any way, shape, or form in Glendale Heights. Getting towards the last, I want to talk about customer payment. You can pay cash, or there is what we're calling a cashless PIN debit. So you can use a debit card to purchase cannabis as well. There will be an ATM on site in the vestibule to provide cash for those who prefer to pay cash. Inventory management is key to this process. All cannabis is stored in the restricted access area. So if you look on the display, it's the red area. That red area is only accessible by Ivy Hall employees, IDFPR inspectors, and law enforcement in emergency situations. No cannabis will be on the sales floor. There's no live product in the sales floor. It's all dispensed from the back. Additionally, when the dispensary is closed, all cash and cannabis is stored in a vault. The vault is built to DEA diversion guidelines. It's a very high level. It's very hard to get into. There's also a statutory requirement for inventory management and a point-of-sale system. If you guys are familiar with the state, they have a seed-to-sale inventory process. It tracks the product from when it's grown to when it's harvested, cut, cultivated, dried, all the way through transportation to the dispensary and sale. So this process is very robust, and it pretty much eliminates any theft, loss, or diversion along the way. And then product inventory is documented and counted nightly in case there are any mistakes, and they're identified readily as required by the states. All those inventory records will be kept for 2 years. So that's kind of a customer experience at a high level. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. If there's not, I will turn it back over to Tyler Manick. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes our presentation. We're here to answer any of your questions.
Go ahead.
You talk critical health issues. Will the medical card holders get some sort of priority, certain days, discounts and such like that? Because I know I have many friends that between Crohn's and cancer and stuff like that, they utilize it for that purpose.
This isn't a medicinal facility, but the same products are being sold at medicinal facilities as what we're gonna sell here. So it's not a medicinal facility, but it does sell the medicinal products.
Okay, would,
So to answer your question, no, David, well, let me let David answer. He's with the applicant.
My name's David Berger. I'm one of the owners of Ivy Hall. So to answer your question, we'll provide a discount to medical purchasers to offset the taxes.
okay, because I was just curious, because I know others do such, you know, and help. That was one of my concerns.
Any, Mr. Pojek?
I have a couple of questions. Your security is very, very good. I gotta admit that. Your security, are they armed?
Yes, we'll have an armed guard.
Okay,
at
so
all
when you
times.
open up in the morning at 9 o'clock, security is gonna be there.
They'll be there before that, but yes, we do a daily count in the morning, so they'll be there as the count is going. There'll be employees on site, probably at least by 8 a.m.
What if he's late coming in, accident or traffic or snow? Will you stay closed then until he gets there or what?
I'll let,
Great question, sir. So the law says they cannot open, so they will not. Just to edify, we have backup plans for that. We have what we call floaters and team leaders that if a guard is in an accident or sick, we get to the site very quickly. We've been doing this for a long time. If anything, I think the delay with a sick officer or someone in an accident would be about 15 or 20 minutes, but no, the dispensary would not open.
Well, that's good news. The other thing I have is, an accident is an accident. I don't care what you say, what the state says, or anything. An accident is an accident. You say there's 45 a year. Well, picture an accident on Army Trail Road. I live right over there. There's a lot, believe me. The police are there, blocking traffic. Fire trucks are there, blocking traffic. Ambulances are there, blocking traffic. There's all chaos. You're cut down to one lane maybe. Sometimes it's terrible. I live right around the corner there. I see it. And I don't believe what the state says, believe me. An accident is an accident. When the nursing home down on Glen Ellen Road and Army Trail calls, ambulances are going immediately. Fire trucks are following them. And that happens 3, sometimes 4, maybe 5 times a day. And to me, you're gonna increase your traffic. There's gonna be more accidents. I don't care what the state says. That's all I got to say right now. Right now.
You want to answer?
Well, I wasn't sure there was a question specifically, so that's why I was debating.
No, I said that's
Okay.
all I'm gonna
That
say
was a
right now.
That's what I thought, it was a
Okay,
statement, so
okay.
I didn't feel I had
Okay,
a rebuttal.
that's
Sorry.
fine. Anyone? Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah, what type of construction do you have on the common wall between your facility and the Dunkin' Donuts?
there'll be a vibration sensor on the wall, and then it's, it's concrete. You're not able to access Dunkin' Donuts from the inside of the proposed facility.
Or vice versa?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Koger?
How much inventory you will keep at that center?
So,
I'm talking about price-wise, weight-wise. 2 questions.
yeah, so this facility is a smaller footprint than some of the others that are on site, so, or in the state, so it kind of depends on what the consumption levels will be in the area. But for the most part, it'll probably be like in terms of SKUs or products, or what exactly, like,
Weight-wise and price-wise, cost, dollar figure as well as weight, how many pound?
so it's tough to weigh it in terms of pounds because it's more viewed like like flour, for example, it comes in 1 gram, 3.5 gram, 7 gram options to purchase. And then like there's vape cartridges, there's edibles. So like the weight is hard to quantify. It's more of the actual products that are on site, but probably have about $500,000 worth of product on site.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a quick question. So what I understood is it's not medicinal facility, but it's recreational. So can you define recreational? What does the recreational means like?
Yeah, so the state, the initial pilot program that was implemented in 2015 allowed for 55 medical dispensaries. In January 1st of 2020, they awarded another 55 adult use dispensaries. The new license awards are now 185 adult use dispensaries. So the difference is that a medical dispensary, which can also sell adult use, it charges a minimal tax to the purchaser, and the adult use dispensaries charge a larger tax to all purchasers based on the potency of the product that they're selling.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a difference between recreational and medical?
Not really, other than tax. You can have a medical card from a licensed doctor or caregiver, and that will allow you to register at a certain facility, and then you can buy at a certain price.
But the product is the same.
The product is the same.
Mr. Meritato.
Doug, I may be wrong, but didn't DuPage County just pass it now where they can have that in unincorporated areas of DuPage County?
Last week, they put out a document laying out the locations within unincorporated DuPage County that dispensaries could go.
Okay, thanks.
Right, anyone else? Mr. Pojek.
I got one more question. You're in my district, District 5. I get a lot of calls from my residents. They are strongly opposed to it. At one time, I was counting maybe around 11. There was a lot before that, but I wasn't paying attention. There was about 2 that were iffy. I have to go along with my residents. Most of them said no. And that's how I'm going to end this right now.
Mr. Light. Mr. Light.
Where were we at with this? Was this,
They're still doing their.
we're just doing
Yeah,
discussion?
yeah,
They're
we are
doing
just-
their rebuttal and then.
Rebuttal, yeah, so
Okay.
if you have any question to the vendor, that you can,
No, okay,
you fine? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Before I am gonna move this motion to the table, I would like Oliwana to come in and give their, and I think that after that, we are gonna go for voting for both of them.
Mr. Chairman, I thought we were going to vote separately. One
Yeah,
and then the other.
we are going to do separately, but I just want to give both vendors a chance. They
Okay.
can do their presentation, and then we are going to do our discussion, and we are going to go one by one.
Okay, thank you.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dion Shapiro. I represent the applicant Holivana. My office address is 618 Academy Drive in Northbrook, Illinois. Thank you for entertaining us again tonight. With me tonight is Roshan Patel. She's the owner right here and applicant, or represents the applicant entity. She's a registered and licensed pharmacist. So when we have questions about the medicinal aspects of cannabis, as I think you may have asked just a couple minutes ago, that's her field, is pharmaceuticals. Part of not only what this operation would provide is not only cannabis as a recreational dispensary, but also outreach programs, health, wellness, to be combined with the cannabis dispensary. Also tonight with me is their general counsel, John Makowicz, and after I'm done offering a couple of comments, I think John is going to address more so the concerns that we heard from many folks the last time we were here 2 weeks ago. But I want to take a step back, if I may, with you. I'd like to take a step back and remind you that in 1999, the village board approved a text amendment allowing cannabis. In 2022,
This village.
I don't think it
board-
was 1999.
I'm sorry, 2019. I'm sorry, I'm getting my name. 2019. 3 years later, the village board approved an ordinance authorizing 2 locations for a dispensary, one on Army Trail and one on North Avenue. So this body has already spoken twice on cannabis. This body has already considered and approved cannabis in a larger scale twice, going back 3 years now. In addition, the Plant Commission has made findings with regards to the 2019 text amendment and with regards to the in January, prior to the March 22 ordinance in favor of the locations for cannabis. The Plant Commission made a third recommendation on our proposal on October 11th. The Plan Commission's recommendation looked at all of the factors that we're here for tonight, and that is the conditional or special use criteria. And after a public hearing in which many of these folks offered testimony, they found favorably that we had properly satisfied those standards. So if we look at some history here, in the last 3 years, 5 different times, either by way of the Plant Commission or this board, cannabis has been approved. We're here not because we feel cannabis is right or wrong. We're here on the recommendation of the Plant Commission for this site at 739 North Avenue. We're here on the land use and zoning standards. And many folks passionately spoke about whether they feel cannabis is right or wrong. That's not before you. You have already spoken on that. We very much appreciate not only staff's favorable recommendation, the Plan Commission's favorable recommendation, but I believe that in both the last time we were here, as well as our Plan Commission hearing, Chief Pappas spoke to some of the security concerns or crime concerns that many folks brought up. The fact and the data is that we've had the benefit over 3 years, and the fact and the data is there has been no increase in crime. Not in this community, not in nearby communities of Addison, and the other communities that the chief talked to us about. There has been one incident, as far as we know, of a dispensary, and that is not nearby here. That is when someone who was employed tried to take money. It could be because the security that the state requires is so extraordinary, is so highly regulated. You don't get a conditional license. You don't get to this point unless you pass the state security requirements. And our security protocol has to pass muster. Anyone who gets to this point has to pass muster by the state security protocol. That protocol includes the manner in which cannabis is delivered, the manner in which it's stored, the manner in which it's sold. It includes the manner in which the vaults are located. It includes the manner in which people are allowed in and through the facility. I show this, John will show this again. I showed this last time, and I know you can't see it, but what you can see are the colors. And what you can see here is the red color of the floor plan that evidences all the restricted areas of where people can't go. Why can't they go there? because all the doors are key carded, because you got to be buzzed in, because you have to have a key card. In addition, we talked about the fact that our security will include 50 to 70 cameras, both inside and outside. We will have 2 armed guards, one who will be in the inventory room at all times, one who will be walking the floor, for the lack of a better word. To answer the question that was brought up earlier, that our dispensary will not open unless and until there's a guard there. So if a guard's running late, it doesn't open. No one's there alone. No one will be there alone. No one will be there without a guard. The guard will oversee the transport or delivery of the cannabis inside the building. So let's talk about the building for a second. You can't get in with all the cannabis facilities. You can't get in if you're under 21. 2, in the front door, you can't get past, I'll call it the vestibule or waiting area, because that is an area that you're kind of held back on. You have to be key carded and allowed in through security. When someone comes in on the backside, in the rear, they can't go upstairs or downstairs because there's no key card access that anyone other than certain select employees would have to allow them to go upstairs or downstairs. So this is as tight as a drum. A couple other things worth note is, yes, just earlier in the week, maybe within the week, DuPage County did pass an ordinance identifying certain recreational areas for certain areas for recreational dispensaries. Excuse me. Many of the folks that you heard from were from unincorporated DuPage. I don't believe that many of the folks you heard from who objected were from this village. In addition, we talked a little bit about the fact that this site is unique. It's unique because we are the owners of both 739 and 737. And what we talked about last time and what we talked about the Plan Commission is we own 737 and plan to demolish the restaurant that is now vacant. And that location can be used for cross-access, cross-parking, excess parking if need be, to give more elbow room if necessary. One of the things John will talk about is the concern about traffic flow to and from 739 and 737. And one of the things he's going to show you is a site plan that we are proposing for your consideration. The site plan would prohibit any entry to 739 off of Glen Rise. Site plan will prohibit any entry to 739 through Glen Rise. How can we do that? Because we own 737. So you can come in off of North Avenue through 737 and go to 739. That's, I don't want to say the beauty, that's one of the advantages of owning both of these properties. That we can adjust the site plan, because we heard the neighbors. We can adjust the site plan so there's no exit from 739 onto Glen Rise. So, just to kind of bring us back to where I started this discussion, not only do we feel that we have met the standards, not only do we agree with the Plan Commission's recommendation, staff's recommendation, but this is an opportunity for this village for job creation, for revenue creation, and for opportunities for cannabis to be located where this board identified it could go. So thank you. I'm now going to hand it over to John.
Thank you, Dan, and members of the board, members of the community. My name is John Mackwich. I am General Counsel for Holy Vanna. I want to talk tonight specifically about some of these softer issues as it relates to this business, as it relates to how it's going to impact the community, impact the residents. I believe Dan has done a good job to explain why we meet the requirements at the state level, why we meet the requirements here at the local level in order to get approved by the board. But I don't think any one of us could ignore the elephant that was in the room. We sat here for 4 hours last time and heard speaker after speaker object. And so as general counsel, as a father whose daughter is going through Say No to Drugs Week this week at her school, as a law professor who teaches marijuana law and policy at law school, I understand what marijuana is from a research perspective, from an operator perspective. I'm also an operator of a cannabis business. I'm an investor in cannabis business. I've been doing this for 10 years. And so I want to speak to you not necessarily about the requirements. Dan's done that. We meet the requirements, and I'm going to say they meet them as well. I want the board, we've had 2 board members say, my constituents don't want it, or we don't like it, or whatever the reason is. I want to talk to you today about why some of those concerns are unfounded and why I think even some of the residents in your district would say, okay, we support it. Last time we were here, we had 4 major issues. What is the neighborhood character, and does North Avenue fit within that? What is the traffic flow for 739 in and out of the community? How is that going to impact the residents of not our community, but a neighboring community? As good corporate citizens, we want to benefit not only our community, we want to be good for neighboring communities because we're adjacent. And so we're going to address that here. We talked about safety and crime. Is this dispensary going to bring more crime to our neighborhood? Is it going to bring more crime to their neighborhood? So we'll talk about that here. And we heard a lot last week, revenue. Is it worth it? You know, should we just raise our taxes? You know, is this what we want for the community? I'm going to address all 4 of those, and I think based on our response, you know, I'm going to recommend that you do approve it, as the Plan Commission said. So I first want to start with the character of the community, in which Holy Vanna at 739 is proposing to have their dispensary. Whether we agree with it or not, whether we partake of it, cannabis is legal. Cannabis is medicine. Cannabis is legal in Illinois. Cannabis is legal in this community. That is an issue that has already been addressed. It's not on the table. It's a concern of many here. It's a concern of me as a parent. I have a 9-year-old. I have to know, how do I talk to my daughter about cannabis? But that's not the reason we're here today, to determine what is our role as parents to talk to our children when they see somebody going into a dispensary. That's not why we get a license. That's not why we're in front of regulatory bodies. But we're going to address it because there's things that we're going to do as Holy Vanna that's going to benefit the community and help parents in this community address some of those issues. As Dan said, this issue has already been addressed in this community in 2019. Glendale Heights took the time to determine, is this something we want? They had meetings, they discussed it, 2019. They said, we're opting in. It's supported as a whole in this community. I think if you took a poll of this community, you would find wide support. The majority of the people that we hear in this meeting, the last meeting, they're not from this community, they're from adjacent communities. It's not in my backyard because it's adjacent. I would probably be here too if I was in their shoes. But as a whole, this community has said yes on numerous occasions, both at the board and at the plan level. I want to point back just to specific language from the Planning Commission real quick. The Planning Commission made a specific finding of fact, and you guys have seen this language and gals numerous times. The proposed use or uses permitted under the proposed zoning classifications are compatible with existing uses or existing zoning of the property to which the amendment will apply, and to the property in the surrounding vicinity. The trend of development in the general area Since the original zoning of the affected property was established, it supports the proposed use or zoning and classification. The proposed use or zoning classification is in harmony with the objectives of the comprehensive plan of the village. The proposed use of zoning classification promotes the public interest. We believe the Planning Commission was correct when it adopted that. We believe the board was right when it approved it. As Dan said, this has gone through numerous times. So this issue of whether cannabis is good or bad for the community has been addressed. But it's been addressed more so even just from a high level. It came before the board on 2 locations, including North Avenue. North Avenue was brought before the Plan Commission and the board and said, do we want cannabis on North Avenue? We've addressed this now for 3 years, and now we're coming back and saying, is there concerns with the community? If you have the PowerPoint there? All right, here. I know this is hard to see, but if we look at the proposed community in which Holy Vanna is seeking to operate, one of the 2 specific sites that the board approved, there are 19 retail or commercial locations within 0.5 miles of that address. Of those, 9 of them are auto-related, including the one that's adjacent to the proposed facility. This clearly demonstrates that this is a dense retail commercial location, the Strip. This is what the community, this is what the plan, this is what the board wanted when it said we want it on North Avenue. The density is there, the businesses are there, it's retail, it's commercial. When you put a dispensary in that location, it's going to fit within those other 9 automotive, those other 19 retail. If you want, I have a list of all the businesses here. I could read them off to you. But this is a strip that is already designated for high-density retail, commercial, and adding another business like that is not going to disrupt the harmony of the plan of the community or of what we're trying to accomplish as good corporate citizens within the community. The second issue I want to address is traffic. And this was the big issue that was raised by many of the members last week, or last time we had this discussion here. As you know, we are on a busy corridor. We just mentioned there's 19 other similar businesses within half a mile of us. We also abut residential. And so we heard numerous testimony from many of the people in this room, and I'm sure if I lived back there, I would have said the exact same thing as a lot of them. They said, in our original site plan, we said we're gonna have a sign that says you can't turn right. And we had people say, people are not gonna obey the sign, there's no police officer there, there is nobody to enforce it if somebody drives back there. People aren't gonna wanna wait to turn left. They're gonna drive through our community. We don't have sidewalks, we don't have lights, we have children in the streets. And so we believe that our original plan meets the requirements for this board to adopt us. But as good corporate citizens over the last 2 weeks, we said, what can we do better? If we're gonna live in harmony with our neighbors, if we're gonna live in harmony with the community, let's change our site plan so we don't have to have a disruptive business where we have to worry about that. And so we went back to the drawing board, and as Dan said, we own the lot adjacent to us, so we have options in this regard. And if you look at where 737 is on the pull out there, if they pull out and turn right, they have the ability to turn left. There's the loop there. So instead of now waiting on the side street to turn left, which is almost impossible to do when there's traffic, we heard you speak on this last week, and traffic congestion is gonna be there. We said, let's have entry only. We have 2 options for you to consider here. We're open to either one of them. I'll flip to the second here in a second, where you can enter off of the side street, but you can't exit. And so the front lot, you could pull in, they'll have the gate. You won't be able to get back out. The back lot would be specifically for employees and for deliveries. So because we have the entrance on 737, every single exit is now onto North Avenue. No one will have any reason to enter into that residential community unless they live there. when you look at it from a practical sense, if I'm turning on to North Avenue, there's no reason for me to turn right back into the residential community. If you're looking at the neighborhood of how it comes together, this alleviates the traffic concerns, this alleviates the congestions, this alleviates the concerns of many in this community who said, we want to protect our children because there's no sidewalk. We want to make sure that they're not skirting through there because they can't turn left. We've said, we're going to make a change. We're going to do something that's beneficial. And so in our original application, this wasn't in there. So we're saying to the community, we're saying to you, if you approve, we will do this site plan. We will change the grades that we have to. We will have exit only onto North Avenue. There'll be no exit onto the side road. So we have one here where the two lots are split, 737, 739. You can see the wall there. Or we'll have one where it opens it up for even more parking. But even under either scenario, no one is going to allow to be able to get out of those exits on the side unless they're an employee or unless they're a delivery, because it'll be by card. So there'll be gates there similar to you see in any other parking area. Once you're in, you're turning out onto North Avenue. So from our perspective, this is what we came back and said, okay, this is how we want to address the concern of the community. We want to make sure that we fit in. We want to make sure that we take their needs into consideration. So traffic's not an issue anymore. Crime's not an issue. Safety's not an issue because nobody's going back there unless they live there. The next issue that we want to address was crime, safety. There was a lot of concerns about whether or not crime would increase, whether or not there'd be detrimental issues to our community. As the police chief mentioned last time, and I won't speak for him, but he called the chief law enforcement officer of 5 communities. Every single one of them said no additional crime comes out of this dispensary. As he mentioned last time, and as someone who's been in the cannabis space for 12 years, crime comes from the black market. Crime comes from those who aren't going to obey the law in the first place. When we go into a dispensary, and both sides talked about it, you all have almost the same security because we have to obey the security rules established by the state. Nobody under 21 gets in. There's cameras, there's alarms, there's doors. I won't go through it again, but it's a safe environment for the product. And that product is not going to be taken from our community, and as it were, there's people that said, oh, they're just going to drive into the community and smoke it. If they do, we can't control that. That's no different if they went to the grocery store and got alcohol. Our responsibility as an operator is to comply with local law and to comply with state law. If we find out that there's violations, we'll bring that to you. We'll bring that to the police. Everything we do is monitored live time by the state. And so from a safety perspective, I think both sides have already done a good job of saying this is why we're a safe and secure business. But from a practical sense, the fact that they can't now drive into that community, I think it alleviates 99% of the concern that was raised by the members of the community last week. Their concern was the people we don't want are going to end up in our community. They're not going to turn down there. And I think another important thing to think about is who comes to these dispensaries. It's not the people who are breaking the law. The #1 user of cannabis, the fastest growing segment of people who use cannabis, is middle-aged women. They're taking this for aches and pains and arthritis. They're taking it as they get older. Yes, 20-year-olds.
Please.
Yes, 20-year-olds smoke it. I smoked it in college. We all did. But if you go through dispensaries and you actually look at the data, it's the older community. As they get older, they take it for aches and pains. But regardless, I hear the laughs. The people who are coming to break the law are not coming to our dispensary. So those people aren't coming in the first place. They're not going to end up in that community. The fourth issue that I want to address, and the last one, is it worth it? There was a lot of talk about, oh, this is $300,000. Is this what we want for the community? The Patels, and I'm happy to work with them, I'm glad to be part of their team. I'm not just gonna sign up with anybody as general counsel to be part of their company if I don't believe in them, their mission, and what they do. They're successful business people. They've operated businesses for decades in this community. They're investing over $500,000 into this business to get it up and running. And yes, we heard talk about that's $250,000 or $300,000 in sales tax. We believe that'll get up to about $1 million after year 5. But that's not our main focus. You know, when we filled out our application, we signed, for example, a labor peace agreement. We will be a union shop most likely within a year or two once we open, with, you know, starting wages over $20 an hour, full benefits, healthcare, options for stock options, things like that, maternity leave. These will be some of the best paying jobs on North Avenue. And so we're bringing 40, 50 living good jobs to this community. So it's not just, hey, here's some sales tax. We're now employing 40, 50 people who can support their family. Our mission is to hire people from this community. We want women, we want minorities, we want veterans, we want LGBTQ2, all of that as part of our workforce. We want our workforce to look like the community we live in. We want to hire the people in this room. And so we're going to give back. We want to say, okay, this is our community, we're going to give in it. Other things we're going to do is, it's been mentioned many times, she's a doctor. We're going to have classes in our facility on how to talk to your kids about marijuana. You know, as a 9-year-old, I have to talk to my kids and say, this is what it is. And what I say to a 9-year-old is going to be different to a 13 and a different to an 18. We're going to have those type of classes where we're going to put on presentations where we can teach people the community. As a doctor, we want to have clinics where if you have arthritis, if you have lupus, if you have any other type of medical disease, you can come to our community, come to our store and hear about it. So this isn't just us coming into the community and saying, we're going to give you some sales tax dollars. We're also going to be contributing to nonprofits in the community. We can't put our name on a lot of stuff because of state rules, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be writing checks to different groups who need money within this community. Part of our resources based on our net sales are going to go to local nonprofits in this community. So I don't want you to think that this is just a sales tax dollar that is a benefit to the community. It's 40, 50 great paying jobs. It's educational classes to the community. It's money to nonprofits that need it. And so as a member of the team, I'm here to say, yes, we meet the requirements. Yes, we meet what the state has set forth, but we're more than that. We're going to be an active part of this community. You're going to be able to talk to us, to see us, to come see us at any time. If there's an issue, you can get on the phone with any one of us. So we're going to be here giving back and saying, how do we make this community better? Not how do we come in from out of state or out of the community to do something. We want to be part of this community. And as Dan said, we meet the requirements of both the city and the state level. And so as the Planning Commission recommended, you know, we would respectfully ask that you approve us. And Dan, I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to add. If you have questions, we're happy to answer them.
Mr. Pojek?
You mentioned numerous times about the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission in this village is only a recommending body. The board makes the final decision at all times. Number two, our police department does not patrol your area. DuPage County Sheriff's, what's the word I'm trying to say? Patrol your area. How many times have the residents complained about not seeing the DuPage County Sheriff's over there? Oh, that's it for now. Let somebody else talk.
Well, while you're checking your notes, let me just address a couple of things. We fully understand that the Plan Commission's a recommending body. That's what your rules say, that's what the state statute says. But it's a recommending body that you have delegated to hear public testimony. So we respect their function. I know you do too. But in addition to that, not only did the Plan Commission make recommendations, but on 2 prior occasions having to do with cannabis, you accepted their recommendation in 2019 and in 2022. The Plan Commission made a recommendation on the text amendments for cannabis, and in 2022 on the location of cannabis dispensaries. They made those recommendations, they came before you. I believe the 2022 recommendation was approved on the consent agenda.
Dan, this is for you. The last time that you were here, in my opinion, your presentation was horrible.
Please.
And over the many months regarding cannabis, I did a lot of research, and my thoughts have changed considerably. Thank you.
Mr. Schmidt?
Peter, since the proposal that they are bringing forward here is substantially different than what the Plan Commission has approved, should this go back to the Plan Commission for reevaluation?
Well, that would be up to you, whether you wanted to send it back to the Plan Commission. It's not a substantial change in that it's an upgrade to what they had before, what they proposed before, so. It does not need to go back to the Plan Commission, but that's within your purview.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we all understand what changes they are trying to make. So, I mean, it makes no sense to send it back to Plan Commission and then come back to us. So in my proposal, I mean, we should vote for today and get it decided.
I was more questioning from a legal
Oh, okay,
standpoint.
okay. Any other question? Mr. Pojek?
Again, how many employees are you gonna hire?
I think what you may have just heard a couple minutes ago was about 40 to 50 employees.
And what are the hours of your operation?
9 to 9 during the week, and remind me again? 9 to 10 on Saturday, and close early on Sunday. I
And my
believe it's
last
part in our
question-
narrative.
and my last question, how are you gonna screen your employees?
They have to
That was
go,
never mentioned.
I'll let John take that one.
No, so under Illinois law, every employee has to go through thorough background checks. So we will comply with both Illinois as well as our own internal background checks. So there will be nobody who works at the dispensary who has not been vetted by us and approved by the state.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, then if everybody's done, you can go back to reading number 2, and we can take a vote on number 2.
Exactly.
and
So that's what I'm gonna do is there a motion to move an application for conditional use to allow an adult use cannabis dispensary establishment within a C2 community commercial district for World of Wheat, DBA Ivy Hall, located at 2130 Bloomingdale Road, to the board with recommendation?
Yes.
Mr. Light?
Move it to the board with recommendation to concur.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Anyone?
Want our vote?
I'm just giving you opportunity for discussion. If anyone have anything to say, or should I go for the vote?
Go for the vote.
Go for the vote, okay. Roll call for vote, please.
Trustee Siddiqui?
No.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
No.
Trustee Schroeder?
No.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
President Coker?
So we have a tie, Mr. Coker, your
Well,
vote.
he's a vote, it's not because if it's a tie, he's a member of the committee.
Okay.
So he's just
Yeah.
a regular vote.
Yeah.
It's very critical time for me particularly. And I have thoroughly listened and I made tons of note. And if I go for money, my answer will be different. And if I go for my community, my values of my community, I'm saying no.
So with that, motion is, can you please? Motion is denied. Okay.
So it'll go with a negative recommendation to the board.
Recommendation, yes. Number 3. Recommendation, is there a motion to move an application for a conditional use to allow an adult use cannabis dispensary establishment within a C2 community commercial district for Purifier LLC DBA Holy Vanna located at 739 East North Avenue to the board with recommendation? Do you have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schmidt. Discussion. Actually, I have a couple of things to express my concerns. First of all, I really want to thank to all the community members who showed up to the last board meeting. You guys really open up our eyes and I really want to see you also in future because it will help us to decide what is good and what is bad for you. We, as an elected representative, it is our job to see what and become your voice. And when you say something, we hear that. But if you don't say anything, we just assume we really don't have any idea. And I was really surprised to see our young ones, the young generations, which I thought that they are just a TikTok generation. But they are not. They are active as anyone else can be, and that's a very good sign. And I was really admire that. And it will, and at that time, as Mr. Pojak said, that it's opened up our eyes. And when I went back home, I did some of my research, and I came to a website by the American Heart Associations. And there was a study published by them in February 2022. And I will be more happy if anyone wants that. I can send them this link. They did a study about the adverse effects of these cannabis to the mental health. And especially, their major concern was the adverse effects of the young ones, the ones which are going to school, the ones which are going to the colleges, and their recommendation or their prediction is maybe we will be spending the 3 times more what we are spending right now in the upcoming years if our young one starts using these cannabinoids. So maybe we will get the money right now. As a village, we all love money. That's the only thing which I've been hearing is it will bring the revenue. It will bring the money. It will bring, and no one wanna talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages of cannabis because they say, oh, we already discussed this and this has already been decided. Only the discussion should be traffic. No. I wasn't here at 2019. I was elected last year. So I don't accept that. And I want to know what is the good thing about cannabis. There is none. Because if there is any, probably in the last board meeting when we provide the public comments, not a single person comes in and said anything good about the cannabis. So with that, that's just my statement. Anyone else has anything to add or no?
The only thing I could add was, I do understand the concerns. I do understand what's going on. I do also understand that we have several alcohol and tobacco shops within Glendale Heights that sell bongs and one-hitters and rolling papers, and seems to be an okay thing for everyone else to do. And on top of it, alcohol, cigarettes are available easier for the kids. Should we really attack all of this stuff? Should we really put all of this back down? If you're using just the kids, let's look at all of it then. Look at all the alcohol, look at all the tobacco, all the things. I mean, I have a huge list of what we offer our kids and what happens. I mean, we do monitor everything. So what do we do about all of that? What do we do with the availability of illegal drugs, which our kids will find? What do we do about the option for them? So please, I mean, give me some ideas. I mean, it doesn't seem to be working either way. But this, yes, I understand your concerns. I understand what you're saying. I said, but I disagree completely with this location on Army Trail Road. I think it will not impact anything. So I voted yes for it. Well, it was turned down, but I'll accept that, you know. Everyone, we made a choice to the board.
Any, okay, Mr. Schroeder.
I'd like to say something. You know, we were all for you people because you are the ones that we represent. You didn't want this, and we're here to represent you. Our neighboring communities don't have this. Why do we always have to be the first ones that go for it? Right? And you say, well, they're children, you know, they're going to get it somewhere else. Well, let them go somewhere else and get it. They don't have to come to Glendale Heights and get it. Thank you, Mayor, for going along with us. We really needed your vote.
Ma'am, I'm always pro people.
All right?
No
These are
matter
the
what.
people that
I stay
selected
here or
us.
not.
All right, anyone else? No.
No, we're good.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Light,
No.
Trustee Meritato,
No.
Trustee Pojek,
No.
Trustee Schroeder,
What are we voting for?
Whether you want
Fucking A.
to know them.
No, definitely.
Trustee Schmidt,
No.
Trustee Siddiqui,
No.
President Coker.
No.
All right, so the recommendation doesn't pass.
Now on to
All right,
discussion regarding.
discussion regarding Village of Glendale Heights calendar and newsletter options. Okay.
While she's handing that out, I want to tell you, it's really nice to see all of you in the audience. We wish you'd come more often. You're a welcome sight. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. This guy goes like that? God, I lost a lot of respect for him.
That's what I was gonna do. I'll give him a couple minutes to clear out.
Okay.
Good evening, Board. We're kind of picking up where we left off with the October 6th meeting with the newsletter where we rejected the bids because we did not receive a valid bid. You had asked for me to go and look at some other alternatives and see if we could get some more quotes, so I did. The discussion at the board meeting and the Northern Illinois survey basically said that we still want to send out the newsletter. So what I wanted to do was go back and try to get a quote on that newsletter. So I was able to contact our previous supplier, Creekside Plurus, and I found another local vendor that was able to give me a competitive quote just so I could price check what they were giving me. They confirmed there is a paper surcharge, which has been implemented into the cost that I provided for you, but it was a firm cost, and these costs they will honor. So what I wanted to come to you was to say that we looked at a couple of different other kinds of paper to use, and we also looked at doing a two-color print versus a full color print. And I'll pass out some samples that I have. Page 2 goes along with how we ran our newsletter in the past. What I did was, our discussion that we had ensued at the last meeting had talked about us combining the calendar with the newsletter and adding 4 pages to that. So my second set of numbers on the bottom of page 2 kind of shows you with the 3 different papers of what our costs would be and what the cost increases were based on the 22 print. Just wanted you to take a short look at this and review this, and what I wanted to do was see if I could get you to agree to let us go forward and to do a contract with Creekside Plurus to provide the newsletter for a 1-year period. They said they would honor the pricing listed. I've outlined that for you. And if you'd like, we can, and again, these are estimates because the page counts, as the page counts vary, the cost of printing varies. There is a cost for each page. But basically, what I wanted to see is if you would approve us to go ahead and start getting the contract together for the newsletter printing to bring it back to the next meeting to have it ratified.
If I could add to that, the printing of the calendar costs us $15,000 a year. $12,000 in the print and about $3,000 in postage. So eliminating the calendar, adding calendar or newsletter goes out in January. You have January, February, March, April of calendar in the newsletter. Next newsletter goes out in March, April, May, June of calendar in the newsletter. So eliminating the mailing of the yearly calendar, calendar printing and postage will save us $15,000. The increased cost of the 60-pound Williamsburg virgin paper from Creekside Plurus, cost increase is $11,892. So we're still at a $3,000 savings by eliminating the calendar, continuing the newsletter, and adding those 4 pages to the newsletter with the 60-pound paper, right? Which I'm told nobody will notice a difference between 60-pound and 70-pound paper. So paper quality is, I don't know what 10 pounds of paper is, but it's not 10 pounds in weight, just so you know. But we won't notice a difference. So the recommendation from staff is that we get a motion to enter into an agreement with Creekside Plurus for their 60-pound paper to combine the newsletter and calendar together. And we sent you a sample of how that would look a while ago. And to move forward so we can bring them back to the board, because newsletter goes out in January and it's getting close.
So you are saying 3 months calendar then, correct? Like, is that going to be a 3 months calendar?
It could be, I mean, based on how we design it.
Okay.
The thought process would be just for that month. So what we could do is anywhere from that current 2 months, so January, February could be highlighting the January, February, so it's visually, so you can see it clear. Or we can potentially, if we shrink stuff down and kind of, design it a certain way, we could do January, February, March, April, any sort of combination, so.
But it'll be a $3,000 savings overall.
Okay.
By eliminating the mailing of the calendar and the postage of the calendar and just going with the newsletter with calendar inserts into it.
So you need,
So we need a motion to approve us to enter an agreement with Creekside Plurus for their 60-pound Williamsburg paper.
so do I have the motion?
Motion to move.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, yes, sorry.
Doug, it was very good, and you did a fantastic job doing the research.
Thank you.
Being in the graphic arts all my life, you did a fantastic job. I understand where you're going from, and it's a good savings. I'm for it.
Thank you.
That's why she's in the finance department.
Doug. Yeah, don't forget, Mr. Foley.
Now, this will come out just 4 times a year, correct?
6.
Oh, you're doing it every 2 months.
January, February, March.
Yeah, I
April,
see
May,
that, but,
June,
all
July,
right.
August.
Was there any consideration doing this quarterly instead of bi-monthly?
Well, I think the residents like the bi-monthly, according to the survey. We're cost ahead a little bit for this year by eliminating the calendar completely. So we're kind of cost neutral on the total cost if you combine the newsletter and calendar costs. Eliminating the calendar and incorporating a couple months of the calendar into the newsletter kind of makes us cost neutral, staying how we are. My only concern of quarterly is that our calendar changes pretty quickly.
Price will go up.
And not that they couldn't look online for the calendar, but from the survey results that we will have here soon, I hope, but what that was presented to us, people don't go to our website for the calendar. They like the calendar paper in hand.
Okay.
So,
And Trustee Schmidt, too, from a marketing standpoint, we're also talking about the difference between every 2 months, trying to get all that information out to them versus every 3-4 months, potentially trying to get all that information to them. So stuff will get lost, at least from a marketing communication standpoint.
Yeah, I seen a copy of the 2-month calendar, and you did a fantastic job.
Thank
I
you.
was very, very impressed.
Thank you.
Okay,
need a vote.
vote, yeah, roll call, please. Vote, please.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder,
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
President Coker?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to bring it to the next?
we will have something for you for next board meeting to approve.
Okay, it's passed. Simon's property. Number 2, so that's something you want to discuss, yeah. So, in the last board meeting, actually, I am the one who want to discuss about this, because in my area, especially the North Shore Apartments, all that, in the summertime, people really don't have any park over there. And I have seen children playing at the boulevard grass area, I would say. And I think probably Mr. Pappas, your police officers have seen several times that it's kind of dangerous because that North Shore, Shorewood Drive street, traffic is high, and I have seen several times when the kids are playing like soccer or something, the ball goes, and it happens to a couple of times to myself. I have to stop, and I have to be very careful when I'm driving over there. So there was a couple of the residents came to me, and they were asking if they have a kind of a park of their own, because the only park they have is at Greenbrier Division. And so that's what my question was. If I know there is a Simon's property over there, and I think we discussed last year that we can have a kind of a park for those residents over there.
So if I can take that, basically the Simon's property, we have money currently in this year's budget. We have $40,000 budgeted to start to get some preliminary plans to turn that piece of property into the connection to the Great Western Trail that was talked about. We actually have grant money as well for that. So the plan is to start the process this year, in this fiscal year, to kind of get some ideas of what we can do in that. Parking is an issue in that area. Access to that area is an issue. It's overgrown, to make that connection. And the hope is that coming out of that plan, we'll be able to budget for the 23-24 year money to make that the next park in town. One of the things that I will be looking at is whether or not this is OSLAD eligible. It would be something that we might be able to do, something similar to Lake Camera Park, not that big in scale, but to get some state funding to help in building that area. It isn't underutilized and has been addressed as that in our planning, and it is the next park that needs to be addressed.
Oh, okay, thank you. Mr. Light?
Keith, what would DuPage County be willing to help with this? Anything at all? I mean, I know they've got certain projects of their own, and the Great Western Trail is theirs, if I'm not mistaken.
So the access, the way that we received the grant funding was because the village does not have an access point to the Great Western Trail. And so this, and I'm gonna give you the wrong number, I think it's $127,000 has been granted us to do that. So that's state. I haven't approached the county, but we could certainly do that and see if there's anything that they'd be willing to do to help us during that part of the process.
So I spoke to a gentleman just about that very same thing, and he seemed to be interested into working with us on something.
Excellent. If you can pass along his name, I'd be
Yeah.
happy to contact him.
Any other questions? No. Okay, number 3, formulation of committee to initiate and evaluate RFP for cricket. So, Mr. Flint?
So I gave to the board now a month ago, since we didn't have a board, we didn't bring this
Yeah.
up last month, last board meeting, an outline of 3 ways that we can do the cricket RFP. 1, let staff make a recommendation to the board based on criteria laid out in the RFP, like we do every other RFP. Let the staff make a recommendation. Let the Parks and Rec Committee review the RFP and make a recommendation to the board, or form a committee specifically for the purposes of evaluating the cricket RFP. If a committee outside of staff is discussed here at the board level, then there's some other things that need to happen from that committee. The mayor has made a recommendation for the committee to be myself, Keith Knauts, Darcy Garza, and Bill Poling. So that's the mayor's recommendation for the committee. That would be staff doing the evaluation and processing the RFP.
Yeah, and I think we also, in the last time, we had a committee with Mr. Pojek and Ms. Schroeder, correct?
Yes, with Keith and myself.
Keith and yourself, yeah. So what about if we can also include those?
Well, this is up to the
members?
board to decide who's
Right.
on the committee.
Okay.
This is for the board to discuss and make a decision on how you want the RFP to process and who is on the committee to discuss and bring forward recommendations for the RFP.
Okay. Mr. Light?
Outside, you said outside, meaning what? As far as the staff recommendation or the staff committee, outside committee, you said? Or,
So currently, whenever an RFP comes in, we have one coming in tomorrow, I think, for janitorial services. Staff would evaluate it based on the criteria we've set in the RFP, look at the bidders, look at the qualifications of the bidders, and then make a recommendation to myself and then to the board on who should get that contract, right? That's how most RFPs go. Because this is such a, I don't want to say hot topic, but such a topic, the board has taken authority over the use of the cricket fields last year, and it's going to be up to the board what they want to do with the cricket fields this year.
Okay.
For the committee, is it just to pick who the winner is, or who's the best?
Well-
Or do you want them to formulate?
That would be,
Three of the RFP.
that's the second part of all of this, right? Will the committee evaluate the RFP prior to release? Meaning, we have one that's in draft mode now, with certain scoring elements. Will the committee review that before it goes out and make changes to it? And what, if changes are made, what authority they have to make the changes? Will the committee score the RFP and make a recommendation to the board? And, will the committee, again, maybe change the determination factors of what's currently in the RFP?
Yeah, but what about, committee get involved and make recommendations and look for the RFP, but when the RFP comes in, do the board is going to decide, or how we are going to vote for that?
Well, the committee would make a recommendation to the board
Board, okay,
on who gets on their recommendation
their
for a
recommendation,
contract.
and then there is going to be a voting. on
Yeah,
the board.
the board makes a decision
Board
on-
makes the decision, okay. Yeah, so I mean, that's fine.
All right, so first we have to form a committee.
Committee, yes,
So I'm,
First, you have to decide which,
members.
if you just want staff to do it, Parks and Rec, or do you want to form a separate committee?
Form a separate committee with the board members as well in there.
Well, I don't know if that's the opinion of the direction that we have from the board, from the committee. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, so, what, Mr. Light, do you have something?
no,
Okay,
I'm just
Mr.
running
Pojek?
through my
Yeah.
notes.
Well, last year, the four of us, I thought we did a real good job with the RFP with the cricket field. And I mentioned with Keith many times, and everything ran just pretty smooth. We had to iron out a few little problems, but that was taken care of. I don't think we had any major issues, did we?
When we went through our part of the process, no, but we were already designated to deal with Mr. Bari at that point, so that's what that committee was set up to do. This would be to do what we had talked about. I'm gonna go back to a meeting a long time ago, where it was to go out with an RFP and go not with somebody already in hand, but to go out and have criteria that they would have to fill out.
Yeah, because we're very familiar with what we had to do last year. I
Yeah.
still have copies.
Yeah, but that was dealing with one specific
Yeah,
Vendor.
entity.
entity,
right?
okay. So there is going to be a new committee. This, Mr. Pat Meritato?
Go ahead.
Doug, when do we have to come up with this committee?
Well, we'd like to get this out to the street sooner rather than later, just so that the,
Because I'm gonna have to think about what I wanna do here.
Yeah, I agree with Pat.
So, do you have a motion for the committee?
Well, this is just for direction.
Direction, okay.
Just, we would come back, once it was decided, we would come back with a formal.
well, I think we need the board to decide if they can make a committee today, who's on that committee.
We should at this point, yes, but.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't do that.
I mean, the majority of the board member is going to decide, yeah,
Oh,
okay,
the
yes, that's
majority.
fine.
Yeah, the majority of the board.
Yes.
I myself, I can't make a
Okay.
commitment.
Is there any other person? I would recommend that, maybe in that committee, we can have Mr. Flint, Mr. Keith.
I would request that Siddiqui should not participate.
No,
because his
let me-
relative is involved. So it should be-
Can you please stop? I'm the chairing this, yeah. So
I know you
I'm
are
gonna give you
chairing.
I'm gonna give you the, when it's time. Right now I'm talking. So what I would recommend is, if we
Cannot
can.
recommend, I have objection. This is a law, you cannot recommend, you are interested party, you cannot do it by law. Talk with attorney, attorney is here, don't, talk with attorney is here.
I know. But
If
so,
you know, you should stop.
I am just suggesting that we can have a committee in which we have Keith, Mr. Flint, Darcy, Mr. Pojek, and Mary Schroeder.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, just for my clarification, if I could ask the board, is the board interested in having staff create and recommend an RFP or evaluate the RFPs? Is that any interest up here, just so I could eliminate that?
No, I think, I can talk about myself. I like the board members in there.
Okay, so then I'm assuming that the committee does not want the Parks and Rec Committee
That's correct.
to do that. Is that,
Yeah.
I know I'm hearing one, I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
I have the right direction.
Yeah.
Is that correct, that we don't want the Parks and Recs Committee to do the RFP?
I didn't say that.
Okay, that's what I'm asking,
Oh.
to see if we can go down the list. It seems like we've eliminated staff of creating and evaluating the RFPs.
I just said I had to think about it.
Okay.
I have objection, Siddiqui should not and must not participate in this as a chair or as a member. He has no right, he's interested party, and it's
I
law,
am just-
I can bring copy, you attorney, you have, I was given copy of that, and I read that, He cannot have, period. He cannot talk, he cannot appoint in no committee. He should
Can you,
he should
just
stay
when I
aside.
told you, then talk. Don't talk at the middle. Mr. Schmidt?
Listen, you have no right to
Yes,
talk with me
yes,
like this.
yes.
Number
I
one,
have all the
you
rights.
are
I am
interested
just conducting
party.
this meeting. Can you-
I have objection on your being here while you are giving this contract to your
It's,
relatives.
Mr. Schmidt,
Pat,
Any other senior person can take
you
over.
have
and work.
a time
I have
frame
no-
where
no
you would
objection.
be comfortable making
He's
a
suggesting,
decision?
to trustee, he cannot suggest it.
Talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes. It should
Probably
be
next,
independent by
maybe
independent
next board
person.
meeting.
And deputy,
By next,
deputy mayor is here, he can take over this particular.
I'm sorry, Mr. Trustee
can
Schmidt,
you
with the,
keep quiet, Mr. Coker, right now, Mr. Schmidt?
Okay, then I would suggest we postpone this discussion to the next board meeting.
so am I hearing that you have a motion to table this
Correct.
discussion item?
Yes.
I'll second it.
All right,
If there's a second, there is no discussion, so it would be a roll call vote.
vote, okay, roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, who was first?
I think trustee Schmidt made the motion to
Trustee Schmidt
table.
made a motion, trustee Light made a second.
Trustee Schroeder?
So what, Mary, we are doing is,
Hey, Lauren.
we are postponing it to the next board meeting, this, this subject. And that's what we are voting for, just to
Thank
try
you.
to, yeah.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes,
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes.
President Coker?
Yes.
all right, so it has been moved to the next board meeting.
17.
Okay, so now to the others. Mr. Light,
No, Pat was up
Pat
first.
was first, okay,
Okay, thank you.
go ahead.
Rachel, I was driving the area. We did a lot of work in my district this year.
I've got the list ready for you to send tomorrow.
Hesterman came out really good.
Yep,
Devine came out really
yes.
good.
I've got a whole list of projects that were done in your district.
John Street, the in-house,
Yes,
they came out really good.
yes, they did,
Sidewalk all came out good.
correct.
So you guys did a great job by me.
We've also got a storm sewer that was in your area, that was redone too, culvert.
So you guys did a good job.
Uh,
Keith? No, I finally got the sandbox out of my district.
I did get that.
I didn't want to see no more kids playing in that sandbox. And thank you,
You're welcome, and I think that's the last one too, so I think we're done now.
thank you.
uh,
Michael,
You still have a
I got one
sandbox?
more thing for you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
We only had one encounter, but the encounter we had was great. That issue in my district, you guys, you fixed it. So now I'm getting my sidewalk done, I'll be fine.
We're working on it, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
all righty, are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Light.
And, trustee Siddiqui, if I could, there should be another public discussion here after everything's done. So before you adjourn, I would probably ask the public for discussion if they want to. It's not on your agenda, but it needs to be.
Okay. All right.
All right, upon this was just the investigation.
Could you first, what investigation, can you give a little bit of a,
Yes.
so the public will know?
It was
Yes.
just asked to investigate issues regarding the stipend paid to village collector. I'm looking for all the village collector investigation, mayor's accusations, leasing the village cricket field, discrimination complaint, and anything else significant that arises during the course of the investigation. The gentleman that investigated gave a very thorough investigation of 31 pages. I was told legal took 3 hours to read it. It took me 3-4 days, 3-4 times to read it, to understand it. I just wanted to give a quick synopsis so that, people know it hadn't gone unnoticed or, it was still yet relevant. As far as, I broke this down into different categories, like for the clerk. Some of this is speaking as if the investigator was reading it. I tried to do my best to just copy from the report. I'll have no choice but to commence legal proceedings against you. That was told to Marie, told to the clerk from the president. Made public comment to the effects that the clerk was stealing money from the village. That was made outside from the president to outside people in different areas. The extensive duties as village clerk, president told the clerk, you spend as much time working as he does, meaning the president, yet he receives extra compensation for meetings, as the clerk basically, for her stipend, basically comes down to equal to about $5 per hour. In other words, what was said was he was able to make more money than her with doing his job versus what she was doing. That's what I'm gathering out of the report. He accused the clerk of something that would equivalent to a Class 1 felony, which is 15 years in prison. The bottom line is that the president's accusations regarding the clerk's receipt of annual stipends as a collector are entirely unfounded. So pretty much there was nothing to be concerned with. She did receive these compensations legally as far as the village board set up. The cricket part, as we all know, cricket's a very popular thing in town. As it comes down to what I've read through the report, August 19th, 2021, a friend of the president talked about moving one or more businesses into town. When told about the RFP, the president said, what do you mean? I don't get to make the decisions? Basically who is going to be taking the cricket field. A special board meeting, when cricket was discussed, it became contentious, and the president still reverted to his position of evaluating the RFP. After the meeting, the president said, I heard they were not going to follow the RFP and were going to give it to the original party, and he felt he needed to intervene. Another bullet point, the president and his friend who wanted cricket gave a check to the director for the use of the cricket ground. The director refused to accept it because it exceeded the $10,000 max, which was out of his realm. As soon as that ended, President told the director not to tell anyone about this meeting. The president told the director the reason he did not sign it was because I am Brown. Ultimately, well, all the president's actions were at best myopic. Official misconduct regarding the usage agreement was unfounded. In other words, he just really had no clue. Reappointments that came up in the discussion, someone told the president that the board will not approve one appointment of one director, and if they will not appoint that director, he will not appoint anyone, is what was said. He said he will appoint that director first. If the board will not approve that director, he will not appoint anyone else. Another bullet point, a director retired due to the stress of not being reappointed and was afraid to tell the president the truth about leaving for fear of conflict. That was the exit interview that everybody had heard about. It was an interesting read. Although I cannot conclude that the actions constitute official misconduct, that does not mean I believe they are proper. The president's choice is inconsistent with the authority to appoint with the advice and consent of the board, which means he can appoint at any point in time just with the advice and consent of the board. The law allows for a mandamus, I believe that's correct, a mandamus action to force a governmental official to act. It would be time-consuming and expensive, with the result being uncertain. A lawsuit against the mayor to compel him to make appointments if he continues to refuse such actions may be necessary. In addition, it's simply impossible to quantify the cost of an employer when his key employees are dissatisfied with their positions, which is highly likely given their limbo status, and they are, in fact, they are effectively being treated as pawns in a political dispute between the president and board. On to the other one was basically discrimination and retaliation. An email was sent to HR by director stating that she was made to feel uncomfortable by the president by him telling her that she is a very attractive lady. A female member of executive staff was told to make the president a cup of coffee and make it the color of her skin tone. Filling a position of administrative secretary, President said he did not want to hire a younger or older person, but someone in the middle. As he was informed by HR, he had to hire the best qualified candidate, male or female, regardless of age. I guess you can't do that. The president had scores removed from one person of an interview panel, which resulted in a candidate the president preferred having the highest scores. When offering, that was one, basically had scores removed and changed the whole outcome of it. When offering chocolate to staff members, some staff members declined, but only one was asked if she was on a diet. The same staff member was told, "You need to exercise and to lose weight." The same staff member was told that by the president. The president was told to stop his investigation of the staff member because where I lost my own note. Stop his investigation of a staff member because the staff member had already filed a complaint about the mayor, and present investigation into the staff member can be illegal retaliation under the Title VII and/or Illinois Human Rights Act. So he was doing an investigation after she had filed a complaint on her. Executive session, this one was interesting. The executive session, this takes. Okay. Oh, that was in the report. Okay. All right, that one we can't talk about, sorry. The likelihood that some of the president's actions regarding staff members would be founded as retaliation for complaining about discrimination. And I got a note here to read the last paragraph because my hands were tired by the end of the night. I didn't want to keep reading. Somewhere here. Oh. Yes. Ultimately, President Coker has acted as if the village employees are his own personal employees, and they are not. While it is certainly possible for President Coker to be personally liable for some employment decisions, for the bulk of the issue, it is the village that is the employer, and the village is entitled and is required to ensure that employment decisions are proper indeed. Even if the position for executive secretary to president and village board, that position is a village employee and is required to comply with all village policies and not simply dictates of the village president, no matter how well intended. This report just goes on forever, and all I could say is if you really want to read it, you'd have to FOIA it to get all the information. But I wanted to let everyone know it did come through, and these were some of the things that came out in it. I was asked to bring this up. I could have done a whole lot longer, but it's a lot of work. It really is. But
can I?
Sure, Mr. Coker.
Number one, he mentioned Mr. Light, trustee District 3. He mentioned about contract, last time. What happened, that contract had been given to one person for last 21 years. No other person, no resident, no other person has opportunity to that contract. Number one, I am honest person. I'm transparent person. I believe in fairness. So to me, every resident, every person should have equal and fair opportunity. Number one. Number two, that was given to one person for 21 years. Last year, this board, because they have number on the board, they are 0 outside, they have number 6 on the board. Now election are coming, things will change. Resident know what board has been doing, number one. Number two, last year, there was contract I signed, I am proud of that. I gave that contract to one guy for $29,000. Because previously that was given to one person same for $12,000. So from $12,000, I took it up to $29,000. But board intervened, and board gave, that contract for $29,000. At that time, price of that contract from other party was $59,000. $44,000 in return, and next $12,000, that guy said he would go up to $59,000, $60,000, and then he said he would give whatever money it takes, He wants to give the hybrid, number one. Number two, the best package for the village of Glendale Heights. That money could be used for police, for elderly people, senior citizen, and for kids, That was the contract, and they said that was the best interest of the people. That was not best interest, that contract to one person. It was not best interest of the resident. That was best interest of one person and these board members. Because they have number, they are abusing their power. This is number one. Number two, appointment. I have power, first appointment for four directors: community development, public works, finance, village administrator, AVA and VA, and one leisure services department.
Mayor.
I have
Chief of Police.
Chief Police. I love all these people. They are wonderful people. They are working. They are getting paid. And I appreciate the work, the service they are providing. In June, I was ready and willing to appoint all the people, all the directors whose term was due in June. But I heard by someone that board is not going to approve one director. And that director is a smart person, very hard worker. In addition, if board wanted to not approve any person, any director, any chief, any VA, I would not recommend board do that, number one. Number two, if board has some reservation, they should come to me and talk with me. But these people, they are stubborn, they are obnoxious, they are violent people. And now,
be civil.
let me
Yeah,
complete.
be civil, but you cannot address the board like these people are obnoxious or anything. I do not allow that. Be
Now,
civil.
If I'm proceeding.
You know,
Let me
I know
proceed.
you are proceeding, but be civil.
Listen, I am proceeding.
Can you quiet?
I am
I am
proceeding.
chairing this.
I am
I
proceeding.
do not allow
I know
that
you do not allow.
You cannot allow. I do not allow that you
on this
will
board,
do
you
this.
call me Robert. You have called me highway robbery.
So.
Now you are
Mr.
holding this and you are
Peter,
striking,
can
let me
you-
proceed, you know.
Can you?
It's my
Can
time.
you
It's
stop
my
him?
time. It's my time.
I'm not gonna allow the
It's my
abusing
time.
of the board member by
Oh,
this.
no, it's my time.
By this.
I think
No.
the chair is gonna allow you to speak. He's just saying don't address the board in a negative manner.
No,
Yes.
it's
Is that
not
what you're
even
saying?
the
Stop
negative
now.
matter. It's
talking.
insulting. It's,
Stop it now.
this I won't allow under my chairmanship.
Stop it now. Can you stop?
No, I told you this, I am chairing. I'm not gonna allow you. Mr. Light, please. Go ahead.
I was just
I
saying.
am talking, I haven't done.
You are done because
Oh, no,
you,
I'm not
yes,
done.
you are done.
Oh, I'm not
I'm
done.
telling you. Yes, Mr.
I am
Light.
proceeding,
I
and
was,
I'm going to proceed, you know.
I was
So
just
this
cons-
happened, one
Yes.
appointment, I stopped that, so I said,
Can you turn off his mic, please?
yeah.
I am the chairing.
It's a good tradition.
Yes,
And
because
I'm talking- I'm not talking
if you are
about-
unable to
I am
talk
talking about.
like a civilized person, I
am
cannot
talking
allow
about
this.
appointment.
Yes,
I'm talking-
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if the mayor does not insult the board, may he continue? Without,
Only if he, and I'm giving this last warning, if he insult any of the board member, he will be silent. I'm gonna turn his mic off.
okay, Mayor, so just present it without
appointment,
insulting.
as I
anyone.
mentioned about appointment, I'm ready and willing to appoint all those directors whose position is due, you know. But these people, they don't talk with me. They don't talk with me, I tell, and again, I'm repeating that if they are in goodwill, they come to me, talk with me, that we can appoint everybody, you know. Okay, next is, there is a lawsuit against me, so I cannot discuss that case. I will say no comment. That other thing is about removing scores, you know, Mr. Light mentioned, you know. That is related to that case, so I don't want to mention, no comment upon that, you know. And in the same investigation, independent counsel, he has given his opinion that this board did not help Mayor Chaudhary Khokar. He's not helping me. This is the same investigation Mr. Light is talking about. I'm not getting help from Mayor, from board. Next, you know, again, independent counsel mentioned, you know, in the same investigation that assistant village administrator, Mr. Flint, he's not helping Chaudhary Khokar. He said in my presence, he said in his presence, he said in the executive session. So this is what I'm getting from this board. This is what I'm getting from administration, you know. But still, the people who are working, I do appreciate, and I will keep working. In good faith, I do want to cooperate with board, but board does not wants to cooperate with me because they have a number. Unless this number changes, I cannot do, you know. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, Mr. Light.
What I was trying to get at was after reading this report, it had its good and its bad points. It had positives that would come out of it that, yeah, maybe some work needs to be done as far as opening up of communication. Yes, probably. But the problem is that the communication is very broken. And it's very hard to communicate when you obviously see you can't finish a statement, or if you say something indirect to this person, it gets hard. I understand that. What I'm concerned with is the staff members that are here. And the point that, you know, leaving our village, they're great staff members. They're very good. The appointments are necessary. We already had one director retire because of this issue. How many more will fall behind this? I'm just short of asking for a censor being put on and making this known that this is a problem that I read through this report. It just needs that, you'd have to read the report yourself. Set aside a whole Saturday and a couple pots of coffee and read it. I gotta say, it was very eye-opening. I understood that with all of the problems that the staff has to deal with, separate and segregation, kind of like, it does play a little bit on it, you know? They're separated, they're not, I don't think they're together anymore as far as the staff goes. And they're getting a wedge driven in between them. The appointments need to take place. I mean, they really do. There's nothing stopping. We can, as I saw, you know, go through a very expensive process of forcing the hand and the issue to take care of this. But that's not, I would never want to do that to the taxpayers. That just isn't necessary. I'm sorry that it took this much to get this information already out. That's my biggest concern, is seeing how staff is being treated and making sure that they're going to be around for a long time. And it is definitely a problem from what I'm reading. I mean, there's a lack of knowledge of how to do this position, you know, and it needs to be learned. I mean, you don't get a handbook walking into this. You get nothing. You need to learn this, and it's obvious that more education is needed in order to make the right choices within the village.
I want to respond about.
That's all I really got.
At that
thank you.
interview, I want to respond, you know.
Okay.
About Joanne, Director of Community Development, before she talked with anybody, before she announced her retirement, she called me on phone, and we talked about, I believe, 20 to 30 minutes, you know. And I asked that lady, you know, that is there any reason that she was leaving because of me? She said, no. She said, Mayor, you are the first person. I'm happy. There's nothing wrong. That's my own decision. After what happened, after she talked with me, then something happened in between. She talked with board member, and she talked with administration. I cannot name, you know, who's that person, but there were some people, you know, there was some right-wing conspiracy going on. Anything they can do against Chaudhry Khokar, who's elected member.
I would like to say that please don't use right wing or left wing. This is nothing to do with this. No, what do you mean by right wing conspiracy?
That is legal term.
What is the legal term?
That is not obnoxious.
No,
That is
I do not
insulting.
allow that
That is
right
not
wing.
insulting. That is.
Mr. Peter, can you please
Yeah,
elaborate? Is this a right, like, can he say right-wing conspiracy? Do you know, it's a political matter. Yeah.
That's his opinion. I do agree that it is not insulting. It is insinuating, but it doesn't rise to the level of being out of order.
Okay.
So I will use not right-wing conspiracy, I will use right-wing group. So that right-wing group talked with that lady, betrayed her, so she was compelled to give that statement. And I have resident who has claimed that that lady has been violating village ordinance and compelling people to pay penalty. And one of resident, I will not name, that lady came to my coffee party and she said that I want to give my house to my son so my son can live without paying me rent. So anybody, any parent has right to give his or her property to his or her relatives, brother, sister, son, daughter.
So, Mr. Cooper.
And she penalized that guy, you know.
Oh, so.
That is example, that is still someone, that lady is listening, the police come forward whenever they have time. That was wrong. I talked to, that was wrong, you know. She was not entitled to penalize that lady, you know, resident, you know. Any parent can give his, her, or their property to their kids, to brother, sister, without leasing, you know.
I have a quick question, because I'm really confused. On one hand, you are saying she called you, and you're talking about Joanne, which is not present here, that she called you and said that, oh, I have no problems, or that whatever she puts on the exit interview is probably not her words. Someone forced her to do this, and now At the same time, now you are accusing again those allegations, false allegations against us that she's compelling, she's forcing the resident the wrong like code or something. I'm confused.
You are always confused. Let me see. You
Oh
are
yes,
always
in this
confused.
board I am always confused.
Yes.
You are right.
And it's not, you don't know about this matter, so it's better, so you don't talk on behalf of other people.
Oh really?
Yes.
One more thing which I just want to address is about Mr. Flint. I know Doug almost like year and a half, and I cannot believe when Mr. Coker made this statement that Mr. Flint is not working with him or supporting him. It's a false allegation. The lawyer's investigation, this, and just to give you a background to all of you is, it's a investigation done by a third party. It's a council which is unbiased, which has nothing to do with me or any of the board member or any of the employee of the Village of Glendale Heights. It was done by an independent person, and he looked into all the details, and then he compiled a very detailed report. And you can FOIA it. That's your money. That's your money which we used to get that. And you will be shocked by seeing how this village is being running. Whatever Mr. Coker is saying, he has his own opinion, and he can say whatever he wants to. But I was really shocked and surprised when he dragged Mr. Flint into this. He always dragged us, the board members, he insulted us, he scolded us, he called us, and I think he missed a very important part of that investigation in which he manipulated the score just to hire his secretary. That's the part he missed. It's in that report. But anyhow, Mr.
I reserve right to respond to you about hiring.
Mr. Light, please.
Let me, okay, he can talk first, you know.
No, I'm,
Because he raised the first the
Okay.
hand, yeah.
That's fine,
Mr.
that's fine, you know.
Mr. Light.
I was gonna call for adjournment, but.
Oh,
Let me,
okay.
let me, before you call, if you want to talk something, fine. Otherwise, I will respond to his, you know.
No, Phil,
Hiring,
no,
okay.
please.
Okay, about hiring a secretary. The lady I hired, she was attorney from Australia, and she applied for this job. In test, she got highest score. In interview, panel of trustee plus other people, you know, she got the highest score. She was number one. I hired her. Second, and unfortunately, she has to leave this country for some personal reason. Then I hired this lady on my left, Ms. Jasjeet. She was in a test, she was number one. She has MBA degree. Previous lady, she was attorney law, you know. And this lady now, she got highest score in a test and highest score in panel, selection panel. And she's hired, number one, she's hired. I am hiring the best people, the most qualified people. I hired Mr. Mike. He's an engineer, plus he has MBA degree. He came first, recommended by test, you know, we took test also, and then there was panel. He came number one. He's hired. He's not my relative. He's not my friend, but now, yes, he's my
But
friend.
your secretary is your friend's daughter. Yeah.
Anybody,
Oh,
listen,
yes.
I mean, anybody who competes.
Because we already have an anti-cronyism policy, but it's.
Cronyism, you read the definition, you know.
Whatever. So do I have
Can
a
you please
motion to
explain
adjourn?
cronyism, you know, what's cronyism?
Oh, yeah, public comments, please. Yeah.
Mr. Epstein, Club Drive, Glendale Heights. This question's for Mike. Mike, how are we going to make up the $500,000 to $600,000 of revenue that we
So-
are not going to be getting now.
And
Chris,
just,
if you could address your
Yes.
question to,
your comments will be addressed to the board.
Okay,
And they're just comments, they're not questions.
okay.
If you wish to phrase them in a question, that's okay, but they are just comments to
All
the
right.
board.
I'd like to know how we're going to make up the 500 to 600,000. I noticed that more than two-thirds of the audience has disappeared, so I guess they're really not Glendale Heights residents. I'd like to know, I have used the benefit of cannabis. I have stated it publicly here before. So that was a misquote from a representative that said he's never heard of anybody. But yes, I mentioned it publicly that I've used the cannabis gummy bears. And yes, it does provide relief for chronic pain that I do have. I use it before I go to bed, if I do use it at all. And the last thing is, I'd like to know how public, or people in the public get personnel records. Mr. Barry got Joanne's exit interview, and somehow Esther got information on my interview when I applied for a job. And how are these things getting out of here? I never gave anybody permission to provide Esther with my information with regards to my employment application, which I even withdrew before it came before the board. So somebody is leaking information here. And this is your audience here, Glendale Heights residents. The other ones are not, that left are probably not Glendale Heights residents. I'd like to know how much less in taxes they pay because they're unincorporated too. They can easily afford to make up that $500,000 to $600,000 that we're losing with regards to it. The situation of us not getting the cannabis. I use it for medicinal reasons. And I understand the pros and cons of it, but I also understand that if we're going to get rid of cannabis and not have it, then we need to get rid of all the cigarette shops in this town, all the alcohol selling. Let's make this a dry town then. Because that is worse than cannabis, I guarantee you. Because kids these days have so much access to alcohol, the parents' basements and stuff like that. They have so much access to cigarettes. A kid I knew that was in high school, his mom was against it, but his dad would go and buy him a pack of cigarettes and he'd go smoke them in the garage. So why not make this town a dry town and a completely cannabis, alcohol, cigarette, cigar, vaping-free zone, if we really want to think about the kids. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Akhtar Masood Syed. I live in Glendale Heights for the last 42 years. And beside that, I'm an international cricketer of USA and Pakistan. I played in World Cup for USA 79 in England. And also, besides, I've been organizing cricket matches and all over the United States, but I cannot do it in Glendale Heights because I don't have any cricket field. So recently I found out that we have three cricket grounds, but I cannot get into to any of those cricket grounds. So I'm requesting all you guys that give me a chance. I have organized cricket in Florida, women's cricket of Pakistan and USA, also international cricket of Australia and India in Los Angeles, California. So if I get a chance here, I think I can use one of these grounds and do the cricket in USA, in Glendale Heights. Besides that, I was a former president of U.S. Cricket Board, got elected twice in that area, and also former chairman selection committee. And my selection win the
USA into the champion trophy, which is the first one ever that a associate member get into the champion trophy. So I just want to request you guys to give me a chance, and I'll do a lot of things for cricket in USA. Actually, in '71, I formed in Illinois, formed a cricket association. Before there was no cricket, and it was me. And now there are 170 clubs in Chicago area or Illinois area. So I just want to end up here and request you, ladies and gentlemen, to give me a chance. Thank you.
Okay.
You won't need the timer, Petey. I'll keep it short. Just three things. One, I feel it was inappropriate to talk about Joanne like that. She's not here. She already resigned. I feel that was inappropriate. Number two, Mr. Mayor, by your own comments, I feel like you're punishing the staff. I'm not trying to single you out or be mean, but you said that the board won't work with you. They can't work with you if you don't put the names up. And you shouldn't not be holding back all those positions and not giving these staff people job security over what might be one person. That's what you need to work out, is that one person. You shouldn't be holding back all those other positions, because it's gotta be hard to come to work every day and do your best work when you don't feel you have a secure position. So I hope you will consider at the next meeting putting those appointments in place and letting these guys work it out with you. I'm not telling you how to do your job, but I just feel that they haven't been appointed for quite some time. Lastly, I think you guys, the RFP is a nightmare for cricket, but I don't understand why you don't feel that putting a committee together would give you, that makes it even worse, because now you're putting in all those different opinions of, who wants this, who wants that. I think it gives you too much opportunity to sway it in any one direction, where, as Doug said, on option number one was just to let staff put it out, have those bids come into you, and then evaluate them fairly as they came in, as they were bid by the public, rather than forming committees, whether it's Parks and Rec or this cricket committee, whatever you want to call it, that can be manipulated. I don't understand why you wouldn't just go with a blind, put the RFP out as you do for everything else, and let it come back, and then make your best educated decision from the RFPs as they are given to you, versus trying to control it, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but trying to control it and manipulate it and then put it back out. Because I think that becomes unfair it could become unfair to the other people that want to put an RFP in. So if you were just to put it out like everything else blindly and let them all bid on it, and then you can make your best educated decision from the RFPs as they come in. It's just my comment.
Mr. Chairman, I need to respond, I need your permission for that. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mike Sullivan,
Okay.
please. It's public comments, sorry. We cannot just.
I have right to respond.
But
I am
chairing
member of
the,
board.
I am chairing
I am
the,
board member, you can stop me,
Mr. Sullivan, please go ahead.
I have right to stop. Can you please, Attorney?
Well, Mr. Mayor, it is public comment.
Yes.
And we've gotten away from listening to comments
Yeah.
and responding. We're trying to get back to, we listen to their comments, and that's all we do.
If I want to respond.
Only with my
Must have
permission.
right,
Only if. I
If
give
you
the
wanted to
permission.
respond, it would be at the chair's discretion.
Exactly,
I
and
can't-
I'm
I
not
can't-
allowing it.
I
Sorry.
can't make that
I
decision.
am not allowing it.
have to
Mr.
have the
Sullivan,
right or
please
not?
go ahead.
Okay,
That
again,
was
Mike
that.
Somerville.
Those
all
were
And his-
questions directly related to me.
Well, I think there were comments. I don't think that there were questions.
Those are directly related to me,
It would be
And
up to the
I
chair.
have to respond.
Can you please, Mr. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Stop
but-
my mic, stop my mic.
Okay.
Stop my mic.
I want to commend you for making the decision. As a member of the school board and a former police officer, been 33 years in this town, I do believe what you said. I've read that article and I believe it
Yeah.
is true. But can you come together? You did something that was a benefit for the people of Glendale Heights, and I commend you.
Thank you.
Second of all, Doug, has that Northeastern study been out so people can read it, or is that still being?
Again, if we could just ask you to address,
Oh, I mean,
we've gotten out of our
I
normal
understand.
behavior.
okay, I just wondered if it
I'll
is.
talk to you afterwards.
What?
I'll talk to you after.
Okay, thanks. Again, I commend you for what you did, and thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public? Go ahead. Yes, sir. Your name and.
Yes, my name is Wasi Khan. I'm a resident of 1N540 River Drive, Glen Ellen. I'm the vice president of Glen Valley Civic Homeowner Association, which is behind the Holivana location. And on behalf of the HOA President Sue Curran and all the 400 residents, I would like to thank you, all of you, for taking the decision against putting up those cannabis dispensary in Glen Heights, especially on the next to our neighborhood. And to answer this question that how you're gonna make up that $500,000, my suggestion that whatever the liquor store and the cigarette stores we have in this Glen Heights, you can double the taxes for them. They're not good for the community anyway. Let them pay. Let them take the charge and pay back to the community. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that is great what he just said. He lives in Glen Ellen, and you want us to raise the taxes of the people of Glendale Heights because you don't want, I don't care what, the businesses are in our village.
Mr. Pojek, Mr. Pat, sorry. Let's end that. Yes, Miss.
Yeah, a last comment. My
Yeah.
name's Sue Karam, and I do live in unincorporated Glen Ellen, behind where they wanted to put the cannabis. Thank you very much for voting no. One thing, you know, a lot of people, you said that left, they only live in Glen Ellen. Well, that's not true. One thing I have to say is, when we recently found out about the cannabis coming here, all it said is, we're gonna have it was a business, you know, we're gonna open up a new business. We didn't know anything about there was gonna be a cannabis business. If we had known that earlier, we would have been at every meeting. We had so many people here at the last meeting is because we didn't know about it, because we live in unincorporated Glen Ellen. And the one thing too, I gotta tell you about that plan that they had for that drive-through. There is a 5-foot, at least a 5-foot barrier from that Chinese restaurant that they bought too. I don't know how they were gonna possibly put cars going through to that Chinese restaurant. 5-foot high wall there. Were they gonna take out the whole bottom of the, you know, underneath the Chinese restaurant to get parking up there? I don't know. I don't know how it could have gone through. But all I gotta say is thank you very much. And I'm in support of all of you and even Glendale Heights. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? If you guys could be quick, like, you know, just take 2 minutes, that will be, yeah.
Try to make it quick.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Azhar Muhammad. I live on 270 North Brandon Drive, Glendale Heights, by the way. And one of the reasons you see people left was you might have noticed a lot of new faces. This whole process was very new to them, and they did not accounted that the time they spent here. So it's not true that they were not Glendale Heights. They were Glendale Heights. I know them personally. I know them because they live in my neighborhood. And lastly, I really appreciate each one of you, and I want to thank you from, like, on behalf of Glendale Heights residents, what you did tonight. I feel proud. I feel proud to be a resident of Glendale Heights. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Fahim Baig. I'm a resident of Glendale Heights, 1539 Club Drive, in fact. I moved here about a year ago, and with 3 young children, all below the age of 7. So my intent was to join this beautiful village. I found it to be very charming, lovely residents, lovely neighbors and neighborhoods, and I really would love to keep it that way. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of all the other residents who are here, which, by the way, again, as the previous speaker said, Most of those people, or a lot of those people I know personally, they are Glendale Heights residents. So you are representing your constituents correctly. And using common sense, I think the businesses made very strong arguments. But you used rationality and good reason to make good judgments. So I really thank you on behalf of myself, my children, my neighbors, residents, and everyone else in the city. Thank you so much.
Kasser Chishti, 1064 Greenbrier Drive, Glendale Heights, and I would like to thank you, all of you, for unanimously voting against and listening to the community. We do realize that there's a medicinal use of cannabis, but I think more people were maybe against this because there was a recreational use and access to the kids and close to the neighborhood or residence area. So, but again, many people reached out to you, and people don't know how these meetings are done. They were here for the first time. So thank you once again. And also I will hope and pray that all of you will leave your differences apart and work for the betterment of the village. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Zaid Saeed. I live on 1783 Churchill Lane in Glendale Heights. It's getting late, so I'm not going to take much of your time. I'd just like to thank you all for unanimously voting against the dispensaries. It means a lot to, a person who's lived here for like 95% of their life. So yeah, not much to say, but thank you for voting against it.
Thank you.
So that will conclude public comment here. We do have one Zoom person.
Go ahead.
I think they lowered their hand. Sorry, I
So-
think they left.
They left, okay. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
can I respond?
Second. Okay. roll
I know
call,
you will not
please.
let me do
Roll
this. I
call.
know that.
Roll call, please. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Schmidt?
Yes.
Trustee Siddiqui?
Yes.
Trustee Light?
Yes.
Trustee Meritato?
Yes.
Trustee Pojek?
Yes.
Trustee Schroeder?
Yes.
President Coker?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.